Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's wonderful to see you all today. Welcome back from Christmas. Let's let the Discord know that we're live. Jen, if you're there, I'll let them know actually. As you guys are coming in, if you could hit that like button, that would be terrific. If you could hit that share button, that would be terrific. All things would be terrific if you would do them terrifically. Get this set up. And we'll have Felice here shortly, I believe. I can't even... I can't move this. Damn it! I cannot... There's this little spot on my laptop when I switch between screens where if I drag it and I don't drag it quite far enough, it just gets stuck in between screens. And then I have to close it, so give me 1 second. Let me get Discord back up. There we go. Bingo. Bingo. Hi! Hi everyone, I'm here. Felice will be here shortly. How was your guys' Christmas? If you celebrate it, I was unaware. Jake let us know yesterday he doesn't celebrate Christmas, so they just were having like a low-key day off. So I apologize for anybody who thought we were going to go live yesterday. We didn't. I was hanging out with my 3-year-old daughter watching her open presents. Thank you. Thanks, Gas Fan. If you guys want these hoodies, Jake does them on Chrome. That's Jake's apparel brand. You can find that link in my bio. He's got this one and some others. And Felice.
Hi.
I like the bow. That's a nice look. With the up top bow, yeah.
I don't
like
know
that.
why I do that. I always do it though, cause
You do?
yeah, I wear sweatshirts like this. It's just more noticeable because it's a white bow. But don't you hate it when you lose the strings?
Your real quick, your mic is super low.
Oh, can you not hear me?
No, I'm not sure it's coming through your mic.
I don't. Hold on.
It could just be I switched headphones today. I left my other headphones. It could be my headphones.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Are our mic levels roughly the
Yeah,
same?
they can hear me. They
Okay,
can hear me.
great. It sounds low
Yeah,
to me,
I
but
think.
I'll deal with it. It could just be this cord.
Okay, 1 second.
No, they
So
said
tell
they
me
said you're
about
good.
Christmas. Yeah, I know. I can hear myself fine.
Oh,
It's you.
it's
Whenever you
always
think
me.
there's a problem, just remember it's you.
It usually is.
Do, do, do. So tell me about Christmas. What happened?
What do you mean? Are you talking about what
Well,
we were
what did you
texting about?
do?
Oh,
Oh,
not okay.
whatever. I mean, we were texting about so many things.
Okay.
Not really.
I know it's
I feel
great.
like I haven't talked to you. Maybe that's what it is. This is the least we've talked since we've probably started talking.
Yeah, it was. I turned off all my notifications for Christmas Eve and Christmas. We took my daughter to. There's like this drive-through light show where you tune in the radio and it plays the song, and then you have all the lights and they dance to it.
Yeah, that's
Except
cool.
for
Where's that at?
it's like Alma School and the 202.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a really nice junkyard slash massage parlor, which is
I know
phenomenal.
where Alma School and the 202 is. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about with that
Yeah.
junkyard slash massage parlor? It's
Are you
literally a
talking?
scrapyard,
You're talking about the
and there's
202 by
also a
ASU or
massage
the lower
parlor in it.
202? Or this? Are you talking about the 202 by ASU or the lower 202?
Yeah, the 202 by ASU. So if
Yeah.
you
Okay.
go
I know
back,
what you're
like if you're
talking about.
headed east past the 101, just it would be on your left is where that little light show is. But we've had so
Yeah.
much rain that it was it was chaos. Like it's all dirt. It's all like a dirt paved road, but there were just massive potholes everywhere. So my daughter's like standing outside of the sunroof just bouncing like crazy. Like I had my hand up to make her so she didn't hit the roof with her face, but that was fun. We watch Harry Potter every year. We made it through. I think we got through six. We didn't get the last one, and my daughter's getting more and more brave with Harry Potter. She
Oh,
used
it
to only be
scares
able
her.
to do like, yeah, she gets kind of scared, but she gets it now. She understands Dementors are not real,
Dementors are scary.
but so far, not real. And then Christmas is amazing. If you have when you have kids, like I've never been like a big fan of Christmas. I'm uncomfortable when someone gives me a gift. Just like it's the same as if somebody gives me a compliment. I don't really know how to handle compliments or gifts, and so I don't really like Christmas. But with my daughter, it's great, and she likes things that she can. I don't know how am I going to explain this. She doesn't want like normal gifts, I think, from kids. Like she wants something she can be kind of creative with. So I got her like this little mini drum set, which was the biggest mistake of my life because like
Oh
I just got a
yeah,
headache the rest
you're
of the
clearly
day.
not a teacher. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. You don't get a child anything that makes noise, or like buy them candy, or like anything with sugar in it. Yeah, I can only imagine you will live to regret that.
yeah. And so that
But
was
you should get
fun.
your child STEM gifts. You should get her science, technology, engineering, and math gifts. Like, there's so many cool things for kids now that you can like explore and play with. And
I thought you were saying like stem cell treatments when you
no,
said STEM at
STEM,
first. Yeah,
science, technology, engineering, and math. Yeah, there's so
I
many
get you
cool
now.
gifts that you can like experiment with. And
Yeah, but the other thing is, my ex decided she's like, I want to get her. She likes dolls, little Barbies, so she's like, I want to get her like a Barbie playhouse, but she didn't want a Barbie playhouse. My ex, so we started putting together this playhouse maybe 10 o'clock at night, and we finished around 3:30 in the morning. So that sucked. That was the worst. That was the worst thing that I've done in a long, long time. 5.5 hours trying to figure out this playhouse. That like it was the most. It's crazy. It like has an elevator inside of the playhouse, and like it had a 2-car garage and like an art studio and like a spa. Like my daughter's gonna think that like at some point she's like, why is our house such a piece of shit? Like why is my house this piece of shit? No elevator, no spa. So I don't know. It was it was fancy. But
I
that was my
love
Christmas. How
putting
was
gifts
yours?
together like that. I'm gonna start a business like putting IKEA stuff together. I love doing things like that. It's like putting a puzzle together. My
We
mind
did.
works like that.
We got her. I don't know if it was for a birthday or for Christmas, but we got this playhouse for outside last year. And I'm not very handy. Like my dad was a contractor, and my mom would send me to go to work with him, and he'd be like, "Do me a favor, just leave. Like I'll pay you. Don't tell your mom. Just don't
You're
touch
like Eric
anything."
Trump, how Eric
Yeah,
Trump
yeah.
thinks he built houses with his
I poured the
dad. You're like
concrete.
Eric Trump.
Yeah.
You're Eric Trump.
But my dad had very little patience. So if he wanted something fixed, he's like, I'm not going to teach you how to fix it. I'm just going to fix it. So he would just fix everything. So I'm not great with this stuff. And I'm like, I'll put the
It's like
playhouse
my dad
together.
too.
It shows up
I'm
in this
helpless
massive
because he has
box.
no patience.
Yeah. There's like, I don't know how many pieces there were, but it's somewhere in the range of 850,000 pieces. And I pulled it all out. I couldn't do it. And, and so I I told my ex, I was like, I can't do this. I can't figure it out. We called a handyman that we knew. She's like, I know this handyman. He'll come over. He'll do it. He's like, yeah, I'll be over. And it shows up, and it's just this girl who I've never seen before shows up, and she's like, I'm here to do the playhouse. I was like, oh, cool. I didn't know you. She's like, oh, it's my first day. I'm like, oh, have you done this stuff before? She's like, no. I was like, have you done
Oh
like
God.
construction? Do you know how to do any of this stuff? She's like, no, I'll figure it out. She was done in like 3 hours, and it was perfect. And I've never been more emasculated in my entire life. She's like, no, I've never done this, but she just figured it out. I was out there for almost 2 hours. I had
That's how
like
my
four
mind
things put
works.
together.
That's how my brain works. Like my best friend, like she has two boys, so they're like the closest thing I have to children. Like last year, like I just like put a trampoline together and like an hour. That's how my mind works.
So you're
I
saying I
like
can just invite you over from now on?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for that's what I'm just saying. There's certain people like who you can just put things together. Like IKEA directions are the worst ever. What is going on with IKEA directions? They're like stick people just like holding something. They don't even like write it out, but I
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's a gift I have.
that's how this playhouse was. There was no instructions. There was just a picture with like arrows, and there was. This is the one we did Christmas Eve. It was just pictures. Uh, one word. It would be like open, and then it would be written in like 80 other different languages, and it was not very descriptive at all. So we wound up doing it like we did a puzzle. We just like had a picture of it, and then we just tried to figure out what pieces went there. And I hate puzzles, by the way. Absolutely.
Okay, see, there you go. Like I love like 1,000 piece puzzles. Like that's my jam.
Oh my god, I don't get that.
Yeah. So that
I
see,
don't-
this is why we're actually good together though in general, is because like we complement each other. We're not good at the same things.
yeah, I'm excellent at not preparing anything ever and winging it, and you're excellent at preparing things. As as we look over our outline for today, Felice texted me this morning. He was like, "Hey, there's not a lot of stuff. Can you add things to the outline?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. I'll add things to the outline." I added one thing. Then I got stuck down a Travis Kelsey, Taylor Swift rabbit hole, and
Do
then
not
I and
just
right we were. I'll tell you,
that's
we
why
were
you
late
can't do it.
starting
You
this.
start reading an article and then like 6 hours goes by. And you're
Yeah,
like, well, I know everything about Taylor Swift, but I've done nothing that you asked me to do.
right. And I
So
also
now
now
tell me
know
the
about.
story about Taylor Swift. I want to know. What did you learn?
It's. I didn't really learn anything about Taylor Swift.
Okay.
My we do have this
We
problem. Our
accomplished
Twitter appears to
nothing.
be exactly the same. So every time I found a story this morning, you had already put
Same
it on there.
algorithm.
But I found a clip from months ago of Jason Whitlock from The Blaze, who used to be like a respected sports journalist, and now he's just on The Blaze and has no respect at all. But it was him criticizing Travis Kelsey, and it was unbelievable. We're gonna do a breakdown of this on our YouTube channel, so I don't want to give too much away. But one of the clips was like he says something to the effect of, "Yeah, before Taylor Swift, uh, what we knew about Travis is that Travis was into big booty black women, and then when he got his sponsorship,
That's actually a true story.
I understand that, but the insinuation is
No,
that
I know it's awful.
Travis is into big booty black women, but as a gift to him for doing an advertisement for Bud Light and Pfizer, and what was the other one? There's one other one he did one for. Taylor Swift was his gift. It like
Pfizer.
internally, I was just like, how does Jason Whitlock not know that Taylor Swift is the star here? Like these companies
I
aren't
know. I
gifting
know.
Taylor Swift to people.
I
Like
know.
it is a gift to them when Taylor Swift's like, yeah, I'll do an ad for
Because
you. It's yeah.
in right-wing
He thinks that
misogynist
Taylor Swift was a
minds,
throw-in.
this is what I'm this is my thing. Like that women experience that men don't really notice. This is a case where you notice it because it's so very obvious. Taylor Swift Travis Kelsey is the side piece. You know what I mean? He's
Right.
like her like accessory that she's just like trying on right now. But men don't see it that way. Men see Taylor Swift as Travis Kelsey's accessory, which is it's mind blowing. Like that's how I see like people see that. I've experienced that when we started working together. Like people were like, "Oh, she works with RTP now." And it's like, "No, I'm just an individual. Like I don't women are defined by the men they are
Yeah.
closest to, which
Well,
is an annoying phenomenon."
except in our Discord, which is very
Oh yeah,
very
except in the
empowering to
Discord.
women, where the exact opposite has happened, where as soon as you showed up, literally not one other person, like not one person in the Discord takes me seriously anymore. I don't know if they did and they just like maybe they never did, but they weren't loud about it, and now nobody. So it's
There is some justice in the world. Women, join the Discord where there is some justice in the world.
I'll say it though, it has been eye opening working with you. Just the
We never
comments,
did. Someone said
yeah,
we
like
never did.
because I'll
Thank you,
post some of your
sis.
clips now on the Instagram and then obviously on YouTube. And the difference in comments if I post something versus if you post something
We
is
could post the same clip.
yeah, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's and the amount of people like the people that should never comment on the way anybody else looks ever. Those are usually the ones commenting the most on what somebody looks like. It's unbelievable. There are a lot
I think
of troglodyte men who
Cave
love
dweller. I
to
love
think
people
that
that know
like
the
they
word
could reject you.
troglodyte. That means cave dweller for people that don't know what troglodyte means. Yeah, so I definitely agree. I think what's interesting to me about men, or since being on the internet, I realize the way that men attack women's looks, it is really indicative of their own insecurity. That's what it is, because I think at least by the time you get to be in your 30s, my experience as a woman is like you you get it now. Like you can say whatever you want about my looks. Like when I'm attacking someone and trying to hurt their feelings, I'm smart enough to know I should probably figure out what this person is insecure about, right? Like men are just insecure about their own looks. And so the first thing they do is just attack something about the way someone looks. Like if you said I was unintelligent, I mean, there's so many other things that would be more hurtful to me than just the low-hanging fruit that men go to. But, bless their
Yeah, that's it.
hearts.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Well, no, I won't share that. No, I won't share this. There's somebody in my life who recently I was talking to. I won't say who it is because they may listen, and I don't know if they want this story out there. But um, it was somebody in my life that like was they had a relationship. The relationship went really really south. Like not south, but the relationship ended. And then now there's like a thought of rekindling the relationship. And one of the big issues in the relationship was like he wouldn't go anywhere with them. He didn't want to take pictures. He didn't want to like. And then once they broke up, like he was taking pictures and stuff with all over traveling, taking pictures, and then in a moment of like real honesty, he was just like, "Yeah, I didn't like what I looked like. That's all it was. Like after we broke up, like I got in better shape, I look better, and I like that's the only reason I'm taking pictures now. But it took for me like getting in better shape to actually be able to admit it and be confident about that. But I've thought about that a lot, and it's true because especially men, like we want to feel like we're going to be strong forever, like we're going to be 21 forever. We want to feel like we can just eat whatever we want, like kind of go to the gym and look good forever, but then it doesn't happen. Like life catches up with you. And I thought it was a really interesting look into that psyche, and I've been thinking about that the last like week or so. Just men will not admit that. We don't admit that to each other. We could never admit that to each other. And that is most likely why you see the attacks on women's appearance online is for that exact reason. Men pretend they don't care what they look like, but they do. Or you give up, which is what I've done. I've given up. I'm on camera every day, so I'm gonna look like this every single day. So I'll
It
dress
is
like
such a
this.
mind being on camera every day. It's
Yeah.
like
So I just dress
it
like I
is.
just
You
wear a
just got to
hoodie and a
stop
hat and,
caring
and
what you
call it a
look
day.
like. Yeah. You got to stop caring. But yeah, I totally agree. It's just, men are insecure, but they don't know how to express that. Like it sucks being judged on your looks. And I think it's more like men are women are like the prey gender of the species, right? Like men want to essentially procreate. And so they feel like a lot of maybe why they have success with that or not have success with that has to do with their looks. And so they are,
Or size.
or whatever, exactly, their
Like,
looks. And
isn't
so
that
they're
basically
angry at
what?
women about that, right? Their success with having sex or not having sex. And they don't realize they're blaming that on women. But that's oftentimes, at least in my case, not what it's about.
Yeah, you're going down the same route. I was gonna say like that's basically what red pill is. Like all these
Yeah,
red pillars, the
exactly.
Andrew
It
Tate bros,
is.
like that's literally what this is. It's literally just like men preying on each other's insecurities and then like
Exactly.
projecting that onto women. Women only care about one
Exactly.
thing, looks and money. It's like no, that's literally just your insecurity because you aren't in good shape and you don't have money. And so instead of like addressing that and realizing that there's probably some women out there who would be just fine, they'll support you. Like maybe they have the money, they'll pay the bills. Just be nice, just be nice. But you can't
Just
teach them that.
don't be
It's
an
literally just
asshole.
like one big
Exactly.
projection.
Yeah, no, and bell hooks, it's not even just like something we're discovering. Like black feminists talk about this. Like bell hooks, when she discusses the patriarchy, talks about how
Who?
it's this hierarchy, right? It's a stack rank, and it's essentially men damaging each other. Like the first victim of the patriarchy is men. right? You guys damage each other to the point where you can no longer regulate your emotions. You're in fear of expressing yourselves. You're literally mocked into silence by each other. Like that's the phenomenon of the patriarchy. And so then what happens is when a man is damaged by the patriarchy, then they go to the person below them, whether that's another man or that's another woman, and damage that person. It's a cycle. It's just a vicious,
Who was
abusive
this?
cycle.
Was this an author you were citing? Who did you say it
Bell
was?
Hooks, yeah, she's
I don't know who
a
that is.
very famous, uh, one
Sorry.
of the most famous black feminists of all time, for sure. Yeah,
Oh,
what
a
is her
woman?
name?
He was a woman?
Yeah. Oh, that's why you
Oh.
haven't heard of her. She's just a
Yeah.
woman with a
What are
tiny
you talking
brain.
about?
She's just a woman with a tiny brain. She doesn't know much about much.
Is
But
there a
yeah, she
black
actually
male feminist you could point me to that I could so I
exactly
could read the book?
a black male who explains feminism.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what we're
Actually,
really
preferably
looking
a
for.
white male who could explain what it's
No,
like to
but
be a black
oh,
feminist woman would be
I
ideal.
can't remember his name, but there's a great creator on TikTok that I always, it's a white male who's basically explaining the patriarchy to men. And men are like, he'll introduce some idea, and men will be like, oh, this is blowing my mind. Like, I see it now. Like, I get what you're talking about. And then at the end of the video, it'll just be him being like, and this is a concept of bell hooks. And you can read. You could read about it in this book, and men are like, "Oh, wait,
That's
a black woman said this? Oh, wait, hold on.
that's
This
actually
all of
kind
a
of a
sudden has lost
phenomenal.
all its value to me."
That's kind of brilliant by this person. He can just do borrowed content all he wants, and it's gonna work so that men listen to it. I've been getting red pilled like crazy on Twitter, just because I click on all the shit you send me. My Twitter is red pill. Like,
Yeah,
do you know who what's her name? Pearly Things. You know who Pearly Things is?
pearly things. No,
She just got
no.
demonetized.
Men's
She's like
YouTube is
this.
terrifying, and Twitter is terrifying.
Yeah, she is this like red pill woman.
Look
She
her up.
and I was watching a video she did the other day that was like,
Red pill women are scary. The ones propping up the patriarchy, as a living. It's
yeah.
scary.
I'll see if I can find it. But it
Pearly
was
things.
like,
Are you saying on Twitter?
let me just give you some examples of
Pearl
Pearly Things.
Davis.
So
Yeah.
here's
Okay.
her on.
That's things spelled THINGZ.
Yeah.
Why do I think that cheating is natural to men? Because 8,000 years ago, 17 women reproduced for every one man. So I think it's actually really common for them and natural for them to be non-monogamous. I'm not saying that every guy is going to cheat on you. I don't believe that. But what I do believe is that women go after the men that will cheat, and then they cry about it later. And I just don't have a lot of sympathy. Like if you're going after the top 20% of men, if you're going after basketball players, entertainers, rappers, and you're gonna cry later that you got cheated on. I got no surprise. Yeah, or even the top 5% of men. It's like these men have worked their whole lives to get to a certain point. Yeah. You weren't with them when they were broke, and now you walk in and say, "Oh, be faithful to me." Why would he?
Again. That's Pearly Things.
It's painful.
It's
That's a
crazy to me
great-
to think
and that
that
sums it up.
Yeah, but she can look at that. She can look at history. She can go back in history, and she can look at like how these societies. She's talking about societies where there were like certain women assigned to give birth. They were the healthiest women. They knew that they could give birth, and so like in these villages, certain women gave birth. There were other women who were out there hunting. There were other women who were out there building shit. It's because like they didn't really necessarily have gender roles. They were just like, these women are the birthers. I mean, of course, it had to be the women. And then you had all these roles throughout the village. But if you read the book Sapiens, which everybody should read, like she's making an argument here against monogamy, which I've heard people make, but she only ascribes it to men, right? Women should be monogamous, but men are inherently wired not to be monogamous. Forget the part that like if men were wired to be monogamous because of our history, then also women are wired to be monogamous. But her ability to just like see past the reality in front of her and find a way to make men victims is amazing. She just got demonetized from YouTube. And before you guys say like this person's stupid, maybe you haven't heard of her, she has 1.9 million subscribers. She has an
Because that's what
insane
men
amount
want to
of
hear.
subscribers.
Yeah, she's saying what men want to hear. But I think that all humans are not monogamous. I don't know what your peer like this is my theory on this. The more I go to therapy and heal my what I now realize is was a very broken person. Um yeah, I'm realizing that love, like if I truly love someone, right? Like for instance, if we're dating and I love you, I would want you to have as much love in your life as possible. If I've not been damaged before, if I haven't like suffered a bunch of trauma, if I didn't have a giant abandonment wound, right? I wouldn't be trying to limit the amount of love that my loved ones have access to in their life. Like trying jealousy, insecurity, all of those things are the reasons we start limiting people's access to other people, like who we care about. Like, isn't that the most selfish thing to do to someone you're claiming to truly love, to limit the amount of love they have access to?
That's progressive. Yeah, it's an
Don't
interesting
feel that way.
conversation.
Just
It
think
really is.
about it.
Like, again, if you read the history of just human beings, monogamy is something that
The
was.
History of Human Beings, a great book.
Yeah, wait, well,
Just kidding.
there's other books, so I didn't want to just say it's Sapiens,
Yeah.
like Sapiens was the
Yeah.
only book, but yeah, if you look at that, like marriage eventually was exactly for that reason, to control, right? And then it was
Exactly.
co-opted by religions because if you can find anything that you use to control people, religions are like, I gotta have that. Get me one of those. That's all I want for Christmas, Santa. See how I put that into? See how I made it like because we're in the Christmas season, and I made it
I
a
got
Christmas
you. I
wish.
see what you did there. I
Yeah.
see what you did there.
Top. We
That's
call
why I
that
work with you for
topicality.
just these moments right here.
Yeah. So like, it's a really interesting conversation. It's a hard conversation to have with most
For
people because
men.
most people are very afraid of that conversation. I don't know what the answer is. I think that there's a certain level of hardwiring to that people can't overcome. So it's not. I also don't think like everybody can be non-monogamous. I think that a lot of people are hardwired now at this point through programming to be monogamous. It would be too far of a bridge for them to be non-monogamous, including myself. Honestly,
Well, let me
I
let
think
me
it'd be
say, let
difficult.
me run something by you that might like you will never, this is the truth that people don't see, is anything you do, any action you're taking in a relationship that's meant to like towards jealousy, like limiting people, your significant other's interaction with other people, is never going to help your relationship be more successful, right? Like you will never keep somebody in a relationship with you by limiting who they have access to. As a matter of fact, you're almost ensuring that your relationship with that person will be damaged and will end,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like so I'm just saying, whether or not, like someone cheating on you, this is what I'm trying to say. Whether or not, if we're in a relationship, me cheating on you is not dependent on whether or not you threaten me or reminding me every 5 minutes, don't cheat on me, or you're not allowed to speak to this person, right? Me not cheating on you is because I love you, because we have an agreement, to be monogamous. It's all of the things that are intangible, not you repeatedly reminding me that I'm not supposed to betray you. As a matter of fact, why would you want to remind me? It's better to find out, who somebody is in a relationship, I guess is my point.
No, that makes sense, and I think that comes with time too. I think, at least for me, like the older I get, the more I think, like you see the benefits of, you can see at least the benefits of being in a monogamous relationship, but those benefits have
Oh,
to
for
like,
sure.
but those benefits have to be some like the driving force for you, right? You have to
Yes.
be, if you enter into that relationship and you're going to keep that relationship going, those benefits probably have to be the motivating factor, right? If you're in it, if you're just monogamous because you're like, it's the right thing to do and I owe it to this person, at least for me personally, like that's not enough for me. That would never be enough for me. It has to be
You
that
a
being with
certain
that
amount.
person is so overwhelming that like there's not a reason to step outside, right? Like your needs are so met in that relationship that there's no need to step outside. And I think that's like where we get monogamy wrong. Um, my parents don't. Well, my parents aren't gonna watch it. I'll be honest. Like if you grow up in a house where your parents don't love each other, like you don't see the benefits of monogamy, right? You see two miserable
Hello.
people. And in society, we're like, they had some ups and downs, but here they are 50 years later, and you just see two people like, fuck you, fuck you.
That's my
Like they still don't
parents.
like each other.
They're like, we've been married 40 years. Like, well, you guys hate each other.
Yeah,
So I don't know
what's
what
the
we're
secret?
doing here. Like,
Don't
what?
talk to each other. Live two separate lives,
Yeah, exactly.
but stay
What are
married.
you guys proving? Yeah, exactly. Congratulations on literally tormenting each other for 40 years. Like,
I mean, what do I mean by benefits?
And I just want to say, I am a monogamist. Like, I do believe in monogamy, but it has to be for the right reasons. And I think a lot of people who are cheating, like don't understand why they're doing it. There's a lot of trauma that happens in people's childhood that people aren't understanding is the reason you're not able to be monogamous, right? Or the reason you're sabotaging your own relationships. And like, I think that also needs to be addressed as well. The sad part is there's very few people in this world who are actually equipped to be in a monogamous relationship, you know?
Yeah. Look, yeah, yeah. I don't even know if I'm there yet, but it did take a lot of
I don't know if I am either.
it took a lot
this
of
is all
like
hypothetical.
therapy and traumatizing events and being very publicly catfished, I think, to make you think like maybe there are some benefits. I'm talking about somebody else. Somebody else got publicly catfished.
He's just, this is just something we heard somewhere.
Yeah. No, I do, and I think oftentimes like it takes years and years and years for I have a lot of respect for people who early on got in a monogamous relationship and because for the right reasons. But I think that that must stem most of the time from childhood experiences that allowed them to see that that being in a monogamous relationship benefits them. Ivory asked, like, what do you mean by benefits? That's what I mean. Like, I don't stay in any relationship that I don't benefit from. It makes no sense. Friendships, business relationships, family. It does, like, if there's no benefit for me, if it's not helping me in my life, if it's not making my life better, I don't stay in that. And I know that sounds really fucking transactional, but there's a million people you could be friends with. There's a million people you could have some sort of relationship with. Don't stay in relationships that aren't beneficial to you. If you have a friend who's a drain on you every day, and they're bringing nothing to the table, like, you don't have to continue that. You don't have to continue to just let that person suck off you. Wow, that was not the right.
Well, this is
there.
yeah, that sounds strange. This is mind blowing for women because that's pretty much exclusively what we're up to is letting people drain us. That is like the existence of being a woman is essentially giving yourself to other people, being in service to other people. Like that is essentially your job, to be everything to everyone. Men, it's just your only job in society is don't appear weak, right? Women, it's, hey, be everything to everyone 24 hours a day.
Yeah, that sucks. Sorry about that.
No, I mean, if women really took stock, like what you're saying, because I think that is how men are. Men look at relationships and they say, hey, what is this mutually beneficial? Like, is this a symbiotic relationship where I'm getting as much as I'm giving? Women, oftentimes, the answer to that is no, right? Like, think about like our fundamental role as being mothers. That is that's a one-sided, as Freud describes it, relationship with a narcissist. There's no more narcissistic being on this earth than an infant, right? The only thing that matters to an infant is its own needs, its own wants. They don't even know at that age that the mother is not them, right? The infants still haven't learned my mother is not me. They think the mother is them and works for them 24 hours a day. So women become very used to being in service to other people.
That's actually something I'm learning recently. Like, my daughter's finally turning into like a daddy's girl the last little bit, but it is interesting. Like when I have her versus when my ex has her. Like, she demands that attention every moment from my ex. She has no patience, no sympathy, no forgiveness. Like, if she doesn't get what she wants, she's upset. But with me, I've always just thought she like realized I was dumber, but that makes more sense. Because with me, she's patient. Like, she can hear no from me. She can hear, hold on, give me 5 minutes. I'll be right there.
Yeah.
She can hear, like, I don't want to play the game that way. Let's try it a different way. But for my ex, there's no listening. because and that's I didn't
She's an
even think
employee
about
of your
that.
daughter. She's your daughter's employee, right? And that's if people wonder, like I talk about malignant narcissism, not to relate this back to Trump, but that's how malignant narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder develops. It's that early. It goes from what Freud calls healthy narcissism of an infant, which is to have your needs met, right? You have to be a narcissist as an infant. If you're not screaming, your diaper's not getting changed, you're not getting fed, you might not survive. So that's healthy narcissism. But
I operate in
as
a
a,
similar way.
yes, exactly. Men do. That's what I'm trying to say. Notice the similarities between men and infants. Like they need something, they scream for their significant other to help them. So, but what turns people the narcissism into malignant narcissism is to not separate, to not individuate. When that baby, like you have a 3-year-old, this is the stage where you're deciding whether or not this child will be a narcissist. That child has to realize, oh, my mother is not me and I am not my mother, and I can meet my own needs. I set my own boundaries. I am an individual person, right? And narcissism is when you never individuate. You stay in that phase as an infant. You're faced with so much harsh trauma coming at you that instead of individuating and separating from your mother, you literally close off. You live in like just a fantasy world of I am God, I am me, just how the infant thinks. You never leave that. And you continue to throw tantrums. You see yourself as God. That phase, you never individuate. You never move on from that phase. That's narcissism.
That's wild. And then you're gonna have to correct me because I don't know if it's hardwiring, if it's conditioning, whatever. But I know that like the babies cry like that. To me, like if my child cries, I'm like, oh, I need to fix a problem, like something's up or she's having. But if my child cries and her mom hears it, it's like terrorizing to her, right? She has to fix it immediately. So you're wired to think I need to take care of this baby's every need because for however long I don't. Up until maybe like 2 years old, your baby literally can't do anything. So for 2 years, you are there for their baby's every need, and then you just have to cut that off. That's pretty wild. That's a lot. A
It's
woman
very hard
sucks.
for women to do. Yeah, because literally you're a part, this person is a part of you, and then you have to learn to separate. But that's the healthy part of mothering. It's hard for mothers, but yeah, it's to teach your child, stand on your own. You're an individual, develop your own sense of self. Narcissists never develop a sense of self, right? They just develop a grandiose idea of who they are. And yeah, and then people raised by narcissists develop like half a sense of self because narcissists don't let you become your own person. People raised by narcissistic parents, not all of them, but the ones they focus on, the golden children, they never become their own person because in their mind, my job is just to live out my parents' dreams. That's my job. I never became my own person. I just have to live out my parents' dreams. That's my role. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
amazing how so early in life, all of these things are decided about all of us, and that it takes us years of therapy to try to undo any of them.
well. That's the hard part. I mean, you and I have talked about this, based on the way that we were raised and our parents, and not to get into too much detail, but that's the hard part. Is as a child you have one of two options, and you can see the difference. There are those children who they do just live out their parents' dreams, right? They do it. They try and live out their parents' dreams as much as they can. And on the surface, in front of people, they will look happy. They will look like they've got it all made. And behind closed doors, they are miserable. They have no real relationships. They have no real connection. And then they wind up running for president and winning because people think that, oh, this is a person who has it all together. Look at them. Look at their life. Look at all their money. Look how happy they are. And the truth is, like, they're spending their entire life trying to get daddy's approval. And then there are others who go the other way. Like, and this is a tricky part. I can just say from my experience. So, as somebody who was raised conservative, who was raised Mormon, there are certain things that you're supposed to believe in. There's certain things you're supposed to do. When I am put, like the people that have pushed me out of their life, which is largely everybody I was close with that's conservative and Mormon, they're like, they keep you out here. What they think that you're doing when you try and find yourself after that is they think it's open rebellion, right? They think you're doing what you're doing just because you want to do the opposite of what you were taught. And that's a tricky part because some of it is. Like, as you navigate that, some of the shit you're going to do is literally just because it's the opposite of what you thought, which is what I've been really careful with politically, is that I didn't want to just go the opposite way because it was what I was taught.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I think a lot of these political debates are really important. And I think it's important to also acknowledge where you came from and what you've gone through and what shaped your political ideas. And then people need to be able to look at your political ideas and say, is this just somebody who is rebelling against how they were born and how they were raised? Or is this somebody who maybe, like, found a different way but has educated themselves on the opinions? The problem is, I think, politically speaking, the people often with the loudest voice in the room are those who are openly rebelling. Because it's 100% opinion, and specifically, like, conservatives now. Conservatives see our country where it's going, and they want to be the opposite of that. They want to be the contrarian. They want to go back in time. And so they'll openly rebel against where our country goes, and they don't really have any good argument for it, which is the scariest part of where we're at now. And that may go down. That may be a good lead-in for at least the absolute stream of consciousness from Donald Trump on Christmas Day. On Christmas Day, when most of us are enjoying times with our families, or we're like, fuck our families and we're in our feelings, whatever it might be, like, Donald Trump clearly was not enjoying Christmas with his family.
And he never does. I remember, I just took me back to this time last year. This is one of my favorite times, like, on Twitter or X or whatever we're being forced to call it now, is because, like, this week between Christmas and New Year's Eve is when people start posting, like, the remember this clip from last year. And Donald Trump was pretty much doing exactly what he was doing last year on Christmas. Well, last year on Christmas, it's actually fascinating because he was, openly up to a bunch of crimes or whatever. I mean, not last year. Sorry. I was reading Christmas 2020, what Trump was up to, like, just going back to those times. And it was just unreal what Trump was up to Christmas 2020. But yeah, so do you want to,
what was he up to Christmas 2020? Do you have some examples?
Just busy trying to seal an election. Oh, I didn't screenshot them, but I'll find some. I'll screenshot them tomorrow. We can kind of go through them. Because leading up to what most of the editors, like, the people that post clips on Twitter are doing, and what Ron, I love Ron Filipkowski, like what he did last year, is he does, like, compilation clip, of, like, here's the year in review, or here's, like, 2020 in review. So I'll find some and I will post them. But basically, last year, the same thing was going on. Trump's just screaming, on Christmas about everything but his family.
Don't worry. My favorite angry conservative, Gunther Eagleman, who you probably don't follow, he'll just post it for you. This was Trump's oh no, this was before. No, this was Do you want me to do you have the clip of him talking about mail-in ballots? I'll play it.
No, I don't.
You look like your head just exploded.
No, when was it? Oh, I'm just. When was this from?
Came out stating that 20% of the mail-in ballots in the 2020 presidential election were rigged or defective. It was the Rasmussen poll, highly respected. That means that the election was a giant scam. You cannot have a fair and honest election as long as there are mail-in ballots involved. Cheating will always be prevalent. France and many other countries have stopped the madness. They got rid of their mail-in votes. The Republican Party must do something now. They have to work, they have to stick together, and they have to fight, because the Democrats cheat. They cheat like nobody has ever cheated before. It's a disgrace.
It's interesting to accuse people of cheating like nobody's ever cheated before from like the biggest cheater in American history. But I don't know. I just saw this. It randomly popped up on my Twitter while we were talking. He's talking about Rasmussen. Is he talking about a poll that people believe like just the ballots were?
He posts Rasmussen polls on Truth Social, right? That Rasmussen is like a far-right publication that he specifically posts on Truth Social when there is an online poll. he posts it on his True Social, Rasmussen polls, and says, vote in this poll. And then
Right,
when
but,
it turns out to be the results that he wants,
but what's
that
he
he's
claiming
like, see
here?
everyone?
So
20% of the mail-in ballots are fake? I don't know. Well,
I've never even heard that claim.
That's not a claim. I mean, he's just saying things. He's just saying words. Of course that's not true. And we just did that amazing and an analytical article came out that we went through a couple weeks ago from Mark Elias from the Democracy Docket, talking about how all studies have shown if we want to make sure our elections have the least fraud as possible, we need to do a combination of in-person voting and mail-in ballots. We need to do hand counts. We need to do machine counts. Like, that's how we keep our elections honest, is a wide variety of votes with checks and balances in place. And it's scary when we think, what did he mention?
Wait,
France or something?
This gets so much better.
They don't do mail-in ballots?
Hold on.
Go ahead.
This gets so much better. So this is the survey. Rasmussen and Heartland Institute. Like, I don't know who Heartland Institute is, but the name is Heartland.
Think
so I
about
know
it.
who runs Heartland. Yeah. The Heartland reveals that 20% of individuals who voted via mail-in ballots in the 2020 election admit to engaging in some sort of election fraud. Now, let's figure out the election fraud here. The study, which was conducted online and via telephone, found that 21% of likely U.S. voters who voted by mail or absentee ballot in the 2020 election admitted to filling out a ballot on behalf of a friend or a family member. The survey also found 19% of those who voted by mail-in ballot had a friend or family member fill out their ballot, and 17% of mail-in voters admit to casting a ballot in a state where they were no longer a permanent resident. Both of these practices are illegal, as noted. First of all, both of these practices are not illegal. What are you talking? Like, ballot?
You mean filling out a ballot for someone else is definitely not
what
illegal.
if?
As long as you sign your name that you assisted them.
Yeah, exactly. You can do it. It's legal. You may not have went through the process. And then voting, casting a ballot in a state where you no longer are a permanent resident, that is illegal. But the one part that they leave out about this every goddamn time is that there are checks for that. Like, we know. The reason we know how many people cast ballots from states they're no longer residents are is because our audits catch that. Before, like, you don't have to go to a recount. This is the part that I think Republicans don't understand. Your fraud or cheating is caught long before recounts. Recounts almost never catch
checks
like
and
more
balances
fraud than
are
has
important.
already been caught. Recounts, we're talking about like a handful of votes that may switch one way or the other, and that's why there's automatic recounts when it's within 1% in most places, because there are errors, and there's errors in every state in every election, but it never rises. Even in Bush v. Gore, it never really rises to any sort of election fraud. But the reason we know all of these numbers in every state is because our elections are very secure and we have checks for all of this, and we do a really, really good job with it. Yeah, but that's his reason to say the election was stolen is a Rasmussen poll.
Yeah, that's always his reasons with these obscure things that make no sense. Rasmussen is usually the culprit. Like, also think about what they're saying. This is an online poll where what is the question? Did you hey, just click this box if you committed mail-in voter fraud or
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What?
And again,
like, think about what he's saying.
If it's online, you're not even the phone or online when you're talking about this, and Donald Trump saying to go do this. Do you think there's not people like pretending to be Democrats?
That's the point.
Yeah,
that's all it is on Rasmussen. No left-wing people know Rasmussen is a thing. The only way I know about it is since the advent of True Social. That's why I know it's nobody's on there unless you came there from True Social or The Blaze or some other like far right publication directing you there. It make any sense.
Well, and I think that's why like a lot of times we're looking at these polls that come out that have Trump ahead, and they're discouraging, and they make me nervous. But when you look at the methodology for most of the polls, and that's why like Trump always talks about the averages. It's why he'll never talk about the polls that don't have him winning. Like the most accurate polls historically have this neck and neck, but most of them also they have Biden with a small lead. And that's not including obviously Gen Z voters or people who don't answer their phone, which is like Democrats, because we're not stupid. We don't have home phones
Nobody
anymore.
answers their phone. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you call me on my cell phone, it's going to say potential fraud or political call. I'm not answering that phone call. But this is what they do. One thing that Republicans did after 2016 is they went and they spent an insane amount of money on polls, and they're just slided polls. The amount of polling companies that have popped up on the right wing in the last 4 years, it's crazy. And there's a lot of money in that. By the way, if you guys are looking to make some money and you have a call, let's say you manage a call center or you are an owner of a call center and things aren't going well for you, start doing political calls for the Republican Party and just bias the shit out of them. You can't be crazy, but try and get Trump with like 60% approval and then just sell that. You'll do really, really well.
For sure. Someone said turn your statement around towards your news media. Yeah. So anybody who's talking about a poll that's an online poll where it's just asking questions and people can check the boxes, yeah, 100% take it with a grain of salt. That's what we're trying to say. And also, but this is a question of you're saying to make a claim. What did he say? 20% of the of mail-in ballots were fraud. People admit to committing fraud or whatever he said. That's an insane claim that is not determined by a poll, right? Like that would be something that could be determined by an audit of an election, which we have, and we know that that isn't true, right? It's about taking different sources of information and cross-referencing them and determining what's most likely.
We should subpoena these answers. These are people admitting to committing a crime. We should subpoena the answers and find out what they did. And we would find out likely that most of them that did submitted those answers were too stupid to know how to submit to commit fraud in an election. Like I get the people who used to live at my house, I get their ballots every year. Every single year I get the ballots from those people. I could definitely fill them out and submit them to Arizona. And those votes wouldn't count, and I would probably get in trouble. It would be very easy to catch because you'd have like our votes and then the people who lived at my house previously, their votes.
Exactly. So Donald Trump on Christmas was on True Social spreading his cheer, and it was quite scary. Let's read some of these. We'll read his all caps one. 2024 will go down as the year of great and fully coordinated illegal election interference by crooked Joe Biden, the worst and most corrupt president in the history of the United States, the DOJ, FBI, AGs, and DAs throughout the country. But despite it all, in the end, there will be a big and glorious victory for those brave and valiant patriots who want to make America great again. Merry Christmas to all.
So, if 2024 is going to go down as the year of the great and fully coordinated illegal election interference, and we have the DOJ, FBI, AG, and DAs throughout the country, like, if it's going to go down as the biggest election interference, and you lost the last time they interfered in the elections in 2020, why would you think that if they're going to do better this time, that Republicans are going to win? It's a weird statement. It's like, we got it stolen in 2020. We haven't fixed any of this that they think like caused it to be stolen. And now we're going into 2024 where, by the way, all of these people are in power. It's Democrats that are in power. Joe Biden obviously can elect the head of the DOJ, FBI, AGs, and DAs. And you're saying like, don't worry, like, it's all going to be stolen worse than ever before, but we're going to win. It's a weird truth. It doesn't make a great deal of sense to me.
Kelly says, because now everyone knows, everyone is watching, they're going to get caught. Kelly, you can come up here and talk to us about this. We'd love to hear your opinion.
Please be Kelly Ward.
Please go. Let
Please
it be. I
Kelly
have a
Ward.
few questions for Kelly Ward, for real. All Arizonans have a few questions for Kelly Ward. Here's so this is his second post on Christmas. Listen to this. It's hard to have a truly great Christmas when you have a crooked and incompetent president who wants to put his political opponent in jail and who has been working hard for a change, illegally using all the levers of law enforcement to do so. We are in the fight of our lives to save our country from madness and doom. MAGA 2024. Make it.
Crooked, capitalized, and capitalized incompetent. He's crooked and incompetent, yet somehow he's been able to get 91 indictments on the former president. He beat him in 2020, and he's simultaneously using all the levers of law enforcement to do so. We're in the fight of our lives, Donald Trump says. It's the fight of our lives against somebody who's incompetent. If the fight of your life is
Make it
against
make
somebody who's
sense.
incompetent, you have not been
You say is in
very
their
many tough
basement.
fights. What's that?
Yeah. Like, what do they say? Joe Biden's like in the basement of the White House, like being senile, but somehow you guys are in the fight of your lives. Can't take this man down to save your lives. Has the entire Republican House GOP clown show investigating crimes. Cannot find a crime. How are you guys going to go up against an actual opponent if you can't take down some senile man who you say is hanging out in a basement?
Yeah, Kelly, let's talk about it. You've woken a giant. Things are not going to be back to the way you want them. When didn't we wake up the giant in 2016? Are you guys just waking up? Is that what you're saying now? That there's like this force of Donald Trump supporters who are just waking up now? Like, is that what you're saying? Fine if that's what you're saying. Are you predicting that there are a bunch of people who are either going to switch party or didn't vote before that are going to show up and vote for Donald Trump? They're now being awakened to what? What woke them up? They were on. I know they're not on True Social because fucking nobody is on True Social. So I know they're not reading this on True Social from Donald Trump. Are they showing up? They're going to Trump rallies now. Where did this great awakening happen? If you look, I was looking at Ben Shapiro's numbers today. I'm looking at right wingers' numbers. Like the people on the right, their numbers are down. This is part. If you go to Ben Shapiro's page and look at his views, and you compare that to 2-3 years ago, the views are down. Right-wing media is down. It's not doing well. And I think it's the exact opposite, Kelly. I think it's that people are waking up and they're like, hey, we've been hearing this shit for 7 fucking years. None of it ever comes true. And if it is true, then Donald Trump must be the most incompetent person ever to try and expose it and stop it, because all he does is keep losing. And now he's probably going to go to jail over it. And everybody who works with him is going to jail over it. It's unbelievable to me that you guys are seeing this. Like, why are you happy at this point? And here's what I really think it is. When that Lori Vallow case was going on with old Mr. Daybell.
Remind people what you're talking about.
What's that?
Remind everyone what you're
Okay,
remind
so
everyone what you're talking about.
Lori Vallow is somebody, lives here in Arizona, was an acquaintance of mine. She was married to, or my business partner was married to her niece, and they got in this like Mormon cult thing together. And it started off as just like going into like deeper doctrine and looking at like prophecies that might come forward, and kind of like an end of days prophecy type stuff, like the end of days are near. But the more the walls closed in on Lori and Chad, the crazier the stuff she said got. Like it got more and more wild the longer she was there. By the way, Jen, go ahead and if Kelly doesn't want to come up, go ahead and allow her to keep commenting. That's fine. Kelly, if you don't want to come up and talk, that's fine. But let's not mute them too long. Let's mute them the first time to try and bring them up, and then unless it's somebody that you want to mute, because we know
Grizzly Smoke 1776, you have some feelings. It seems like you have some feelings. You could come up here and talk to us about them. Anyone who wants to come up here and explain like what you're saying, for instance, Kelly, like, oh, now things are going to be different. We all know what's going on now. Just explain to us what you mean.
This is what I'm talking about, though. The further along it gets, and because no new evidence is coming out, you went down the election fraud thing, and like that wasn't true. To every court's like you're a joke, and slowly like you lose people from the crazies. And as this keeps going, and less stuff turns out to be true, the Hunter Biden stuff's not working out for you. The election fraud stuff's not working for you. The underground trafficking thing isn't working for you because it seems to be your side that keeps going to jail over shit like that. It's not working. So now what you have to do is you have to say crazy shit like Kelly is saying. Like, you'll see, it's coming. The end is near. There's all these invisible people that you don't know about. It's coming. And that's what you see on Twitter now. The people that are like this Gunther Eagleman, I've mentioned him earlier. He's quickly rising on conservative media. He just says insane things all the time. Just like, let me give you an example here. Dear Hollywood elite, there is no reason to threaten leaving America when President Trump gets elected in 2024. Just leave. We don't care. Leave or else. America, where's this one? Where was this one? Where was it? Shit. I had it pinned, I thought. Anyways, that now they're just saying like, you'll see, we're gonna take you down. It's all about to be exposed soon. And this is what it sounds like in a doomsday cult towards the end. Every one of them. Go watch any documentary. Doomsday cults at the end, they all sound like you guys. You're at the end. We're getting close to the end of your doomsday cult. Nothing coming true. And you'll get to a point where you either have to like self-fulfill the prophecy or just like walk away and pretend you were never part of it. It's going to be one of those two things. But because the prophecy includes winning elections and exposing the corruption that doesn't exist, it's going to be impossible for you guys. You're never going to expose it. So you can just ride along with the grift until it goes away, or it gets, and this is the part we're afraid of, when your prophecies that have no evidence don't come true, you get violent. And that's what we're concerned about. That's what January 6th was. You were lied to, and then it turned out that even the people on your side were like, yeah, it was a lie, and you freaked the fuck out, and you got violent.
Well, I want to play, I want to play this clip. Let's talk about it. So, because what we do have proof of is, right, that Trump smells. And so, if anyone's been following, sorry, I don't know how
Jingle
that
bells,
segue went.
Trumpy smells. Guess what?
It
Trended
turns
on
out
Twitter.
that Trump smells very, very bad. Anthony says wrong. Well, Anthony, many other people that have been in close proximity to Trump are pretty sure that he smells. And the funniest part about Donald Trump, like the way you could tell, the malignant narcissist mentality is so unreal that just somebody saying, "Hey, Trump smells," any normal politician, any person with millions upon millions of dollars, any normal business person, can you imagine if someone saying, "Oh, this person smells," and them actually responding and being like, "No, I don't." Tell them, "No, I don't smell." Like, so you know what I'm saying? This is where we're at.
If someone,
And
if someone tells you
okay.
smell, that first of all, that person is doing you a favor, and that is a good person. If somebody tells me I stink, I'm gonna be like, thank you. I really did want to know that.
Yes. So if you guys don't know where this originated from, it's from Adam Kinzinger, who was one of the two Republicans. He was a representative from Illinois, one of the two Republicans that was on the January 6th committee. And he merely was just pointing out, hey, Trump smells, and I'm surprised it doesn't get more press. And then more people who've been in proximity to Trump came out of the woodwork and were like, oh yeah, Trump does smell. This is true. And Trump literally lost his mind over it. But I want to play this because what turns out is what came from this is Adam Kinzinger doing an op-ed and talking about just the victim mentality of MAGA. You guys are going to love this, MAGA. This is special. But I just want to, Ben Meiselas was talking about this op-ed that Adam Kinzinger wrote after talking about how Trump smells and just talking about how everybody in MAGA are essentially victims. So let's listen to a couple minutes of this.
Wear a mask if you can. And that, of course, baited Donald Trump. And Donald Trump's spokesperson respond that Donald Trump is not smelly. I'm not making this up. Here's an article from The Independent. Trump team fires back at the claim that ex-president smells. Former president's body odor was called into question by former Congressman. Kinzinger, a former Republican representative, encouraged people to wear a mask around him. Kinzinger, who is a vocal critic of Trump, took to his Twitter account this week to insinuate that Donald Trump possesses a very strong stench. Quote, I'm genuinely surprised how people close to Trump haven't talked about the odor. It's truly something to behold. Wear a mask if you can. This accusation garnered a lot of tension on the X or Twitter platform, with many mocking the way Donald Trump smelled. When reached for comment about the accusation that he was smelly, a spokesperson for Trump returned the insult to Kinzinger. Quote, Kinzinger farted on live TV and is an unemployed fraud, the spokesperson said in a statement to The Independent. He's a disgrace. He's disgraced his country and disrespects everyone around him because he's a sad individual who is mad about how miserable life has turned out. And again, Adam Kinzinger is a member of our armed forces. Kathy Griffin as well responded. She was on The Apprentice and did say that Donald Trump has a distinct smell that does not get enough press. And she described it as having this BO stench mixed with this makeup that he puts all over him. But the broader point I want to make is that Donald Trump is so easily baited. He's someone who does not have the temperament for office, as Hillary Clinton said right there. And she was spot on about that, and basically everything else about his malignant narcissistic pathology that is corrosive not just to himself but to our great nation that he disgraced. But you know, Kinzinger's approach here is something I want to highlight, not just saying that Donald Trump stinks or smells or whatever, but pointing out how weak Donald Trump is. And that's something that Kinzinger has been repeatedly doing on social media, and he makes a good point. He talks about how, here's another post by Kinzinger. He goes, you want to read about how whiny and weak MAGA is? Take a look at my article, The Annoying Perpetual Victimhood of MAGA. It's weak. And then here's what he talks about. He goes, this weekend, while doing some light perusing of Twitter, it hit me like a ton of bricks. This is what Kinzinger's saying. I really honestly have never had an epiphany so sudden and profound that I decided to write about it shortly after. But I did this time. The whining, weak, brittle, fragile, delicate, feeble, puny victim mentality of the MAGA movement is one of the most transparently sad, snowflakey, and pitiful movements really in American history. The incessant whining, followed by the usual deflection of some harsh attack that reasonable adults would eschew, has really reached a boiling point in my tolerance of typical and normal political dialogue.
Yeah. I mean, has anything else been more true that anyone's ever said? MAGA is a victim mentality. It's terrified victims.
Yeah, but can we go back to the part where...
the smell.
Yeah, can we go back to that when they're like, well, Kinzinger farted on TV? Okay.
Talk about what about, right? Not denial that Donald Trump stinks, but yeah. Kinzinger one time stunk is the defense. So, yeah. Have you ever been more sure that something's true?
Yeah, I have farted on this live many times. I usually try and get the mic before I do so. But if we're gonna point the finger there is a very interesting video from the what was that Dianne Feinstein sitting next to Donald Trump, and I don't remember what it was some sort of. I don't remember what the meeting was, but Dianne Feinstein is right next to Trump, and Noel Castler talks about this. He's like, you can watch the video. Trump is talking, and he says that, I love the way he speaks. He says that his accusation is that because of years of abuse for things like, let's see, there we go. Oh, great. from like can you got to stay muted while I talk though, David. I'm almost done. There is a video of Trump kind of he goes up this, he lifts up like this, and Kessler says he used to evacuate his bowels, and you see him kind of do this. You kind of hear it, and then you see Dianne Feinstein go like this and look to the side, and she spends the rest of the meeting leaned away from him. Dianne Feinstein, who's 385 trillion years old, has to sit the rest of the meeting at an angle like this and looking away. Look,
May she rest in peace.
if you at this point don't believe that Donald Trump wears adult diapers, I don't know what to tell you. There's picture after picture after picture of him wearing adult diapers. Noel Kessler talks about it. He talks about the guy that was responsible. He talks about how many times they had, like, from time to time they would have to cut shoots. Noel Kessler worked for him on The Apprentice, by the way. They had to cut shoots because, and he would just, like, in the middle of the shoot, you'd hear it and he'd just stand up and he'd walk out of the room and then he'd come back in. But I can tell you, during the Christmas holidays, I was not on my medication, my ADHD medication. That's an amphetamine. I took it this morning. I shit 4 times this morning. 4. It'll go through you. So if you think years of abuse won't cause problems, they will. What's up, David?
You think Donald Trump abused what?
Amphetamines.
Oh, okay. That's the first I've ever heard that one.
I'm not surprised, but like almost everybody coming up, like everybody. Well, and there's a lot of people that said he did the snow, but the parties that Donald Trump went to,
oh
that's
Jesus,
what they
dude.
did. They snorted things. That was kind of the circles he ran in, and there's lots of people that
Donald Trump's well known
David,
for not
what do
doing
you have
anything.
to say about Donald Trump smelling?
Smelling?
Yeah, you might have missed this. So that's the story that's going around that he's very upset about. Is it was the #1 trend in America. I think it was Trump stinks. Is that what it was?
Dude.
Has been trending.
Yeah.
For
Trend
quite
to
some
who?
time.
Just the left? I mean,
The
I've
internet.
never
just on
heard this.
Twitter. Just on Twitter.
I've never heard this. Honest to God.
Yeah, you have never heard
What's going on right now?
I guess. What else isn't going on? You get. I mean, now it's the new phone calls. I mean, it's hilarious.
Yeah,
You guys are losing
You
in
mean the
Supreme Court.
recording of Trump basically telling people not to do their duty?
Yeah, how long were they holding on to that
Yeah,
one?
that video.
Probably a long time.
Well, the
Like, oh,
person
wait,
that
till-
made the
till
recording
something fucks
had
up,
to
we'll
give
pull
it to
this-
someone.
Well, they just who knows? Who knows if they've had it for a while or not? But
You don't see the
know
pattern?
exactly how long they've had it because we know when it was recorded. So
But you guys don't see the
what
pattern?
happened?
yeah, I see the pattern.
What pattern?
Every time
smelling
something
pattern,
happens, they
yes.
pull out something else. Like, oh, wait a second. Donald Trump did this.
Okay, David, let me tell you something. Donald Trump is in the news every single day. So every
I know.
time a piece of bad information comes out against him, you're going to be able to find within the last week something that you will claim that the media is trying to cover up. It's what you guys. That's the actual
No, not cover up.
Wait, hold on. The actual pattern is that every time new evidence comes out against Donald Trump, you guys rush to find a story that you think the media should be covering instead, and you say they're just.
I don't even
doing
care about
this,
the phone
They're
calls.
just doing this so that they. I know you don't. Of course you don't, because you think there's something else the media should be covering, right?
I'm
You
happy
think
with the
they're
Supreme
just
Court,
using
dude.
This story, you think they're using this story to cover up the fact that he lost a procedural
Georgia.
argument at the Supreme Court? Is that what you're talking about?
No. I'm saying as soon as that Jack Smith got rejected, then all of a sudden they had these phone calls. I think it's fucking funny, you know. But Jack Smith got shut
wait,
down.
What do you
He's
mean
looking like
Jack
Bob Mueller.
Smith
Said-
got rejected?
Wait, hold on. This is exactly what I just said, David. I just said every time something comes up in the news that you guys think is a big deal, and then another, like, you're gonna find a reason why this story came out, and your story.
You don't
is
think that's a
this.
big deal?
No. Jack Smith asked for them to expedite something,
Okay.
and they didn't. That's
All
it.
right.
You know that's all that
All right.
happened, right?
No,
He said
it's just
Yeah.
proof that the Supreme Court is conservative leading. He said, "Can you hurry this up?" They said no, which is very deferential to Trump, right? Trump got
No.
listen, David. It's good for
You
Trump
guys were
because
hung up
Trump's
on this
defense-
last week.
No, David, let me finish saying something. I'm trying to agree with you, and you're trying to not let me. Trump's defense is not an actual criminal defense, right? He's not trying to say I didn't do this stuff because he doesn't have evidence of that. What he's trying to do is just delay, right? His only goal is to push.
That's not true either, though.
So yes, David, it's
the evidence part
absolutely
not
true. David, then we can go over the evidence again because you come on here all the time and you say, "Oh, the evidence is coming."
No, we got
There's
Georgia.
no evidence yet. David, please stop talking. So, anyways, his whole defense is push trial dates back until he gets elected, so then he can pardon himself. And so, yes, the Supreme Court saying it's got to go through a Court of Appeals first is a win for Trump because his only defense is to push his trial date back.
David, could you turn your mic down? I literally can hear the fabric on your sweatshirt moving.
Okay, it's all the way down. Is that good?
Thank you. Appreciate it. You can respond now.
So, no, I'm just really happy. That was a really nice Christmas surprise for us to get that thing rejected by the Supreme Court. We love that. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
you love
happening.
that.
They
Wait,
didn't
wait.
reject anything. They said we're not going to hear it before the lower court.
They rejected Jack Smith. Just put it that way.
Well, that's a fun way for you guys to put it. It's
I love it.
Like, David, you're celebrating a procedural vote. Basically, they're like, "Hey, could we speed it up a little bit?" And the Supreme Court's
It's looking like Bob Mueller,
and
bro.
the Supreme Court's like, "No," and you guys like, "See."
No,
See
it
what?
looks like Bob
See?
Mueller, like the special report,
It
like the
doesn't
special
look
counsel.
no, it looks nothing like Bob Mueller. None of this has
Most
any
definitely.
None of this has any parallels to Bob Mueller at all. What are you talking?
It's falling apart. It's falling apart for
The
Jack
Bob
Smith.
Mueller report
Just did
didn't
not
fall
do
apart.
invoke the Mueller investigation.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
When did the Supreme Court reject Bob Mueller?
No collusion.
When did the Supreme Court reject Bob Mueller?
No, I'm saying it's looking
When
like
did
Bob
the
Mueller,
Supreme
like special
Court-
investigator.
But you said this is just like Bob Mueller, and we're talking about the Supreme
special
Court.
counsel, Bob
hold
Mueller,
on,
special
hold
counsel,
on,
Jack
hold on.
Smith.
Hold on. You're saying that this is just like Bob Mueller, and you're talking
Yeah.
about them saying, no, we're not going to speed this up. Now, when was the time Bob Mueller went to the Supreme Court and said, can you speed this up?
I didn't say the Supreme Court. I said the
Well, then
special
how's it
counsel.
just like this? How are these
Like the
just
special
like each
because
other?
so
They're both
the special
counsel?
Yeah, because Bob Mueller, did all that investigating and there was no
Yeah,
collusion.
he did.
All these investigations and there's going to be no crimes.
That's not what happened with Bob Mueller, but you're silly.
I'm just saying that's the way I
No,
look at
there were
this.
Bob Mueller found lots of crimes that Republicans admitted to doing. They pled guilty.
No, there was no collusion in the end.
They were never looking into collusion. I've explained this to you a trillion times. I don't know how you still don't know this.
So
What crime what crime
Georgia
is
is important.
Wait, is collusion a crime?
Depends on if you're
No, the
colluding
answer
and
is
bribery.
not and. If you add and, it's no longer collusion. Is collusion a crime?
I guess not, right?
You guess not. And what was Bob Mueller? What was he tasked?
But there was no collusion
What
to
was
impeach
Bob,
him.
What
on.
was Bob Mueller tasked with
We have-
investigating? Do you know? What was
We
he
have a Congress to
investigating?
impeach people.
No. What was Bob Mueller? Stay with me, David. What was Bob Mueller tasked with investigating?
Investigating Donald Trump on a collusion.
Wrong. Do you want me to tell you, or do you want to keep guessing?
No, I'm just happy about the Supreme
Okay,
Court.
I'll tell. I know you are, but let me tell you.
I know you're going to monologue about this.
He
but-
was investigating any and all connections between the Trump campaign and Russia, and he found a lot, and they pled guilty to it.
Oh, he did not.
Yes, he did. There were 30.
No, General Flynn took the fall, that's all.
Indictments. 35.
So General Flynn, the reason what happened because they were trying to make it seem
Did
like
he plead guilty?
he was pardoned. So
Did he plead guilty? I said.
I don't believe he did. I don't believe he did
Okay,
plead
and
guilty.
did any
No,
court
he didn't.
find? and
General Flynn
any-
did not plead guilty.
Yes, he did.
All he said was he lied to Congress. That's all he said.
Yeah, that's
or
what he-
lied to the FBI.
Yeah, that's what he pled guilty to.
But he didn't plead guilty. I thought he didn't plead guilty.
Yeah, he pled guilty.
I didn't think there was a plea.
He pled
Was there a
guilty
plea? I
to
can't
lying
remember.
to the FBI. 100%.
That's why he had to be pardoned.
Okay, yeah,
dude.
sorry, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
No, I know, but I thought there was
all these people.
no, because there was somebody else that
Wait,
pardoned.
hold on.
There was
Let me just ask you this question. So all these people admit to crimes. They're like, yeah, we did crimes. And then Donald Trump's like, hey, I'll pardon you. And then they're like, never mind, I didn't do crimes, because they found out they get a get out of jail free card. And you're like, yes, I believe that. I believe that what happened is these people admitted to crimes, but then when they found out they were getting a pardon, they told the truth. Get the fuck out of
No,
here, David.
no. Go. It wasn't. It
There's
wasn't.
no repercussions for them lying now. They got pardoned. That's why
But that's
they're
not-
saying that
that's
they
not
didn't
how it
do-
happened, though.
David, they pled guilty. They already pled guilty. You can't go back now and pretend that you didn't plead guilty.
So,
But
did
that's
you
what
ever
they do.
listen to
But
General
the reason
Flynn?
they can't, yes, I have. And the reason.
So why did he?
Flynn-
Why did he lie to the FBI?
For a lot of reasons.
No, you
Mostly
don't.
to
You
hide
don't know the
things.
reason, huh?
Yes,
What
I
is his
do.
excuse? What is it? What is General Flynn's excuse for lying to the
He
FBI?
thought that they were trying to entrap him.
They were trying to entrap Donald Trump.
And him, yeah.
He didn't
turns
care.
out I did listen to him?
No,
Turns out I
he
do know
lied.
this.
He lied. He lied so they didn't try to set up Trump to make it look like he was dealing with the Russians. That's
Well, he
serious.
didn't say, he didn't say any of that though until later when he was going to get pardoned. Then he got pardoned.
Well-
Now he's like, check this news story out I just came up with. Now that I don't have to, now that there's no repercussions for me lying. Weird how these stories didn't come out until after he was pardoned. And there's
How many times-
there's no repercussions for him lying. And he's like, okay, now I'm going to tell you the real story. Get the.
How many
David,
times
you're better
did
than
General
this.
Flynn meet Obama?
You're
How many
better
times
than
did
this.
General
A
Flynn
lot.
meet Obama?
A lot.
He never met Obama ever, not once.
He's in a picture with Obama.
No, he's not.
Obama literally warned them against
General, I know he warned him, but General Flynn never met
You know
Obama.
what and you know
ever.
what he warned him for? He said that he works with Russian
I know.
oligarchs. And Trump's
I know.
like, well, and what did he do, David? He
That's
worked
funny you
with
didn't know that.
Russian oligarchs. He was
Did you
doing
know that?
exactly what
You didn't know that,
Obama
did you?
warned them about.
No, I'm saying he's
Wait,
never
hold on,
met
don't
Obama
change it.
personally.
No, wait, hold on. Okay, maybe he didn't meet Obama personally. I've seen pictures.
Ever.
Doesn't matter.
Pull up a picture. He hasn't.
It doesn't matter. Even if the picture is fake or doesn't exist, doesn't matter. Obama warned that Flynn was working with the Russians, and he was.
That was just an excuse to spy on Donald Trump because he knew that was his pick.
No, that was that
Yes,
excuse to spy on Flynn. That
Yep.
Flynn working with Russians had nothing to do with any of the Trump Tower stuff. Nothing.
Oh, that's funny.
It is funny.
I would like you to try to prove that he met Obama because he did not ever.
Maybe he didn't. I don't know. I said I've seen pictures. I have no idea. If he didn't meet Obama, I don't care. It makes
Yep.
no difference to me.
And that was
You
the
have to
excuse
meet-
for
wait,
spying on a Trump
wait,
campaign. I know.
You haven't met Trump, and your entire personality is defending.
Yeah, but he was the NSA, bro. I mean, come on.
No, he was FBI.
No, he was NSA.
No, he's National Security Advisor. He was military. I don't think he was NSA. I think he was
General
military.
Flynn was
He's
NSA.
a five-star general.
Yeah, he
he
was
was who specialized in psyops.
He was part of the NSA. Jesus Christ, you guys don't even know
think-
that. That's crazy.
I
No,
don't
but
know.
that's what National Security Advisor is. Yes, David, nobody's denying that, but he's a five-star general before that. He's military.
I know he's military. His
understand
brother is
that?
still in charge of the fucking army. I mean, come on.
Okay.
In the Pentagon.
Okay, so
His
but
brother's not in charge of the army.
Yes, he is.
No, it's not.
General Flynn's brother was the head of the army in the Pentagon. Yes, he was.
He's
I don't
the
know
head
if
of
he's
Charles
currently.
Flynn.
Yeah, I believe he is.
What
I
is
don't know
he
if he
right
still
now?
is to this day.
listen, the reason that he didn't have his security clearance renewed is because he had lied or not admitted or disclosed that he had been paid by Russian state media. Do you understand that?
I understand
So
that
I'm
you
just
guys
saying that's
think these
why
things happen.
you're trying to pretend like that's why Obama was iffy, and that's why the military was iffy, and why he could no longer
wasn't his
have
choice to be
security
iffy.
clearance because he was literally working for Russian
Donald
state
Trump's choice.
media.
Well, I mean,
Well, I'm just telling you the facts here.
yeah, I know.
what
There's.
was going
I
on.
wish you guys would watch some stuff, some different opinions sometimes, because I don't think you guys do. Because if you
David,
did,
here's
you'd
what
be a
I
little
wish,
bit more.
David, here's what I wish you
understanding.
would. Here's what I wish you would do. I wish you would not just immediately shut off your brain every time we give you facts that you didn't know. What you do,
I
David,
do
is-
know these.
wait.
I do know these things.
Okay, so David, if anybody else who admits to a crime and then they get convicted of that crime and then they got pardoned later and then started changing the story, do you think that's a believable story for anybody but General Flynn? Like
Except for-
imagine Hunter Biden pleads guilty to tax evasion.
That's
and
exactly
having-
right, if
and
it was
having a
Joe
weapon,
Biden.
and having
If
a
it was
weapon,
Joe
and
Biden.
then Joe Biden pardons him, and then he goes out and he's like, I never evaded taxes. I never had a weapon. Those were all lies meant to take down my dad. You would not buy that, David. You wouldn't buy that story.
I wouldn't buy that that
Of
standalone
course he
story.
wouldn't.
No, but
That's
there's
the
a lot
point.
more
The
context
logic
to it,
never
though.
extends to
What's
the
the
left. That's the
context?
problem, David. If this was going on the left, if it was Senator Bob Menendez who had pled down, Gold Bar Bob pled out, and then we said, well, oh, he's not, he pled out, and now he's saying he changed his story and says he's innocent. You would not be saying he's innocent, David. You know
There's
that.
there's a difference
Use
though.
your
President
brain,
of the United
David.
States. Okay,
No,
so
there's
there's a
not
difference
a
between president of the United. There is a
I'm
big
talking about
difference.
Gold Bar Bob.
You had
He's
somebody
not
you had somebody made it up to the president of the United States. They said the same fucking shit through the campaign trail all the way through the presidency when he left, and you just see the things happening exactly like Trump said.
What General Flynn pled guilty to literally had nothing to do with Donald Trump. In fact, most of it took place.
It did.
Wait, hold on. Most of it took place before he even worked for Trump.
I know, but the reason you can't put two and two together because you're not looking at it subjectively to what Trump's side is versus your side. You're not looking at. That's why you didn't know that General Flynn didn't even meet Obama. That's why you didn't know that.
Let me give you another option here.
Because you don't actually watch it.
No, why would I? No, I wouldn't care.
Why
David.
would you? Because you're
David,
fucking arguing on the other side.
David, nobody would fucking care about that. That's not important. The reason I don't know
It is important.
Is why?
Very important.
Why is it important?
If you go back and look at General Flynn, he has many interviews about this stuff, okay? And why he did what he did. Context matters.
Shorten the answer. Why
context matters.
No, David, why is it important for me that here's the story, right? Michael Flynn pled guilty to crimes. Why is it important for me to know whether or not Obama and Michael Flynn ever met?
Why is it? Because the whole entire story is timeline, and it matters.
Why is it? No, the only reason I care about
it does matter.
The only reason I care about Michael Flynn is because he pled guilty to these charges. Now, why is it important that I know?
Okay, just care that he pled guilty then, bro.
Why is it important that I know he never met Obama when the story is he pled guilty to these charges? Why are those even related? David. David might have froze.
He's glitching. David's brain's glitching. He's trying to find proof of something.
I think
is he frozen?
I think his internet froze is what happened probably. Jen probably shut off his internet.
Oh, this is so cute. One of my friends just texted me and said he's listening to our live and his son loves you, Jay. Isn't that cute?
Oh, thank you. What's his son's name? Should we give him a shout? Does he want a shout out? If you give me his son's name, he wants a shout out. We'll give him a shout out. Thank you for listening, by the way, David. David, I'm going to disconnect you because you are frozen. And
yeah, come back and scream at us.
Let's guess why this is important. Do you have any idea?
To David.
Yeah, why is Obama meeting Flynn important?
Why is Obama meeting Flynn important?
Yeah.
Today. Yeah, I mean, obviously, to me or to David?
David. To this conspiracy, wherever this is going. This is just a...
Because, we know, I mean, because anytime you can put Obama's name in it, right?
Sorry, dude.
What?
There we go. What? Damn it. I wasn't.
Can you hear us okay?
I have
What's going on with you?
Yeah. I don't have my Starlink anymore. I had to take it somewhere else.
Oh. Jay, his name's Auden. Hi, Auden.
Hey, Auden. Thank you, buddy. I love you too.
Thanks for watching our show.
But it's interesting to watch, even if you think he's guilty.
Ask the question. David, hold on. Let me ask the question again. And today, I'm not doing like David gets to just say whatever he wants. I'm going to demand that you come up with answers to questions. And here's why, David, because people get tired of like you doing the same thing over and over and we'll platform you, that's fine. But I need you to answer questions. Why is it important that General Flynn and Obama, let's just assume you're right, Obama and General Flynn never met. Why is that an important part of this story?
Because there's a lot of context to what happened and what was
please
going
change
on.
that picture. Please change that picture.
Why?
You got taken because you
What's
got
wrong with
taken
that
down for
picture?
that. Because I'm going to ask you.
I
to
did
protect
not.
my life.
I never got
Every
taken
time-
down for that.
Please take the picture down, David. Please.
Jesus.
David, just stop. You have so many other ones. Put up the
put up your Trump
homoerotic
backgrounds.
picture of Trump with all the muscles that you love so much. That's a great one. You love that one, David.
There you go.
Thank you. Now, can you explain to me why it's important?
But what was wrong with that picture? I never got
I
taken
don't
down
know,
for that.
David. I don't know. But first of all, it's remarkably stupid because there's nothing.
Oh, because
about-
you put it up to derail us, and we're not being derailed today, David.
Good call.
We're
Good call.
discussing. You're staying on topic.
Why is it important?
Fine. I never got taken down for this
why,
one.
Why is it? Can you please not do that? What are you doing, David?
All right, fine. You're being
Stop
nice, so I
doing dumb
will.
Shit. God, dude. Why is it important to know that Michael Flynn and Obama never met?
Okay. So, why? Because there's a lot of context that matters in that situation.
Like what?
I forget all the fucking details, dude. I'll be
Okay,
honest.
just
I
like
watched the whole
some
thing.
details would be good. Just like a little.
So-
just
so,
a detail that would make that important.
So he was accused of some things with colluding with Russia.
David, God damn it, dude! Stop with your fucking backgrounds. What are you doing?
What's wrong with that background?
God, dude, you're done. So stupid, man.
Yeah, I agree. David, why can't you just behave?
David is mad. He thinks the deep state's against him because he keeps getting taken down on TikTok. But this is why he gets taken down on TikTok, because he does dumb shit like this over and over again. David's on a time. No, David, I'm not bringing you back up. Sorry, you're done for the day.
Guys, tap the
We'll get back
screen.
to our
Let's
other
get to
stuff.
100K.
David, you can
We
bounce.
want to talk to another Republican who wants to not put annoying pictures up in their background and will just have a conversation with us. Who wants to talk to us?
There we go. Yeah, sorry, David. You're not coming back up. I'm not going to do that shit. You're putting up AI-generated images, and you're tying Trump to Martin Luther King Jr. There's nothing about the life and the ideas of Martin Luther King Jr. That should ever lead anybody to think that he would have been on the side of Donald Trump. None whatsoever. The only and the argument from David and these dumbass MAGAs that are saying this, the argument is that because the FBI and the CIA went after Martin Luther King Jr. And let's talk about that. Why did they go after Martin Luther King Jr.? Because they didn't like the civil rights movement. Now, what is Trump doing? Is Trump going after? Does he go after civil rights movements like, I don't know, BLM? Did he spend his entire presidency going after BLM, going after Colin Kaepernick? You don't think Martin Luther King would have sided with Colin Kaepernick, that it is okay to peacefully protest the anthem? You think Martin Luther King would have been like, that's right, Trump, you tell him to stand up and get off the field? You think Martin Luther King Jr. would have stood for that? You're out of your mind.
This is what I'm saying about MAGA being victims. Like, literally, you're trying to equate. MAGA wants to equate themselves to the movement of Martin Luther King Jr. They want so bad to be minorities who are being persecuted, right? That's not what's happening. I'm sorry, MAGA. You guys are not being persecuted.
This is more.
You're not a minority group. And when you feel, right, since white male landowners, right, were the original only people recognized by the Constitution, and slowly over time they've had to give up their rights, and it feels very uncomfortable to them. Moving towards equality feels like persecution to MAGA. So we have to hear that they are being persecuted as a minority. Nope, this is
Right.
just what equality feels like. This is what minority groups feel all the time. You have no idea the level of persecution and what the movement of Martin Luther King Jr. meant. You just feel uncomfortable because having to move towards equality means that you have less supremacy over other groups.
It's more of is and this is just another example of how Christianity was co-opted by the right and is now being used to just control you guys. It's the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like in the end days the whole world will be against Christians. So now they're like, "Hey, this is about Christianity." And we're just going to loosely tie this, like, by the way, every civil rights movement, any equality movement, we're going to tie to an attack on Christianity. You've been completely co-opted by white nationalists, and the thing is white nationalists got smart eventually. They realized that they couldn't just go on and be like, "Hey, we want a separatist state. We want separate bathrooms. We want separate everything, and we would like to base it on race." They realized they couldn't do that anymore. So what they had to do instead is make you feel like victims. They had to make you feel like everybody was coming for you. And the best way to do that was to co-op your religious prophecies that eventually the whole world would be against you. The world is not against me. The United States is not against me. I am, shocker, spoiler, white, male, also straight. I'm all of those things, and nobody is coming for me. God damn it! Don't clip that. Don't clip that. Nobody's.
Oh my god, that's gonna be. I'm posting that after this.
Nobody's coming after me.
That's
Nobody is.
We
I'm
just
not a
you heard it
target.
here, folks. You heard it here first.
God,
folks.
I've had a rough day.
Save
on
yourselves,
content.
women everywhere. Save yourselves.
Yeah. Thank you, Yo Pop. I appreciate it. But yeah, dude, you're not a victim. Nobody's coming after you. And every time you guys become victims, you're like, look what's happening to, and let's just list off the poor victims of the right: Michael Flynn, Roger Stone, Steve Bannon, Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, Kenneth Chesborough. Like, all of these people that we're coming after are people who did like actual crimes. The Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio, everybody on January 6th. Like, all of these people did real crimes. And this is how dumb MAGA has become. Like, the more crimes somebody commits, the more awful somebody gets, the more times somebody gets canceled, the more palatable they are to MAGA. Because you've all been convinced that the only people that ever get in trouble for anything are people who stand up against the woke left. And it's crazy. I have a friend who is a professional golfer on the PGA Tour. This person has also made probably, I don't know what the number, millions of dollars in crypto. Made millions of dollars in crypto. And every day this person is on Instagram and Twitter talking about what a victim they are. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? You're on the PGA Tour. You have millions of dollars. You've never worked a normal job a day in your life. You've been a professional golfer your whole life. And you have millions of dollars, and you're like, they're coming after me. They're not coming after you, dude. You just believe really stupid people.
Exactly. You have no idea what actual persecution is like. To have society, to have Western civilization literally set up to discriminate against you. You know, like, that's what Western civilization was built on: white supremacy and the patriarchy. That's why white male landowners were the only people recognized by the Constitution. And then these same people have the nerve to now, with their full chest, put pictures of Martin Luther King Jr. next to Trump and claim victimhood. You've never been a victim a day in your life, not by the system.
I do like the talking point this week. This is how bad things have gotten for MAGA. That their owning the libs thing is to come on and be like, "Oh, we're winning. Look at Jack Smith." Like, do you even understand? Like, that would have been nice for Jack Smith to win that, but nobody thought Jack Smith was going to win that, and it still doesn't change anything. It still doesn't change the fact that he's going to be investigated. The only thing it changes, and this is what MAGA's waiting on that you guys won't admit. And weirdly won't admit, Georgia is the case that you can't put off and you can't pardon yourself for. That's the most important one. But you all know that Donald Trump is pushing this out till he's president so he can pardon himself and stop the investigations. And you're on board with that. You think it's okay for one person to unilaterally choose whether or not they can be investigated for a crime. That's crazy. And you guys are like, yes, we're here for that. That's how easily convinced you are of things, is that you're now saying suspend the Constitution, suspend our laws, suspend justice, suspend all of it because we don't like that you're picking on our guy.
Now picture the same scenario on January 6th, and if that was Black Lives Matter protesters breaking into the Capitol, they'd be saying we'd be marching to a completely different tune.
Do you remember
that is the issue?
Do you remember how mad David was and other Republicans that prominent Democrats were offering to pay bail for people that were arrested during the BLM riots? Remember how mad they were about that? So mad about that. That showed corruption. But Donald Trump is saying, I will pardon. I will suspend the justice system. Democrats were saying, we're not going to hold these people in jail for something we think maybe they didn't do. We're going to let them be out of jail until they go to court. Donald Trump is saying, no, I will undo justice. I will overrule the courts and the juries that convicted these people because they showed up with my name on their hats. And you guys are like, yes, more of this. Give us more of this.
It makes no sense. It absolutely makes no sense. But again, we welcome, please tap the screen, guys, share the live with your favorite or least favorite Republican. We would love to talk to someone and just explain how your logic makes sense. Explain how Donald Trump is the biggest victim in this country when there's real victims.
David, while you're here and you're in the comments, what's about to happen is you're going to get blocked. And before I block you, I need you to know that you're being blocked because you're a troll and you're purposely trying to get my lives taken down because you keep getting yours taken down. So you want to do the same shit on my live to get yours taken down. But now, David, here we go. Oh, pull that up there. You are now blocked. Goodbye, David. Maybe someday we'll let him back in. But David is now blocked. Bye, David.
At me.
Hope you find your dad.
I miss you, David.
I miss you already.
I do. I don't know.
And Alex,
One day,
I see
David.
you. Alex, we see you in the comments. We're just taking opposition today. Maybe we will not bring up opposition later. But let's move on to our list.
Happy right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to go to number 3?
Yeah, hold on. Sorry, I'm just scrolling on down, getting there. Oh, are you talking about the Trump post? Well, we were on 3. We read some. I don't know how many more of the Trump posts we want to read. It bothers me, like the Obamacare post. Trump had a post about Obamacare. I know, I can't stand. This is my least favorite thing. Obamacare is too expensive and otherwise not good health care. Knows nothing about it. I will come up with a much better and less expensive alternative. People will be happy, not sad. And here's my thing. Like, just like you love Mitt Romney, one of the only Republicans you will hear me defending is John McCain. And John McCain essentially saved the Affordable Care Act. John McCain was a Republican who actually should be respected, cared about people, respected that there was a difference between the truth and a lie. And John McCain saved the Affordable Care Act when Trump wanted to torpedo it. And Trump is everywhere for people listening being like, oh, John McCain. John McCain is a hero for saving the Affordable Care Act. Trump has no alternative to it. Never has ever offered an actual alternative. If you're someone who generally wants to fix healthcare in this country because it very much is broken, then present an alternative to it.
Yeah, what, and that's what he said. I'm going to bring out an alternative, which he's been promising us since 2015. Like, at no point has he ever rolled out, because anything to make this cheaper, anything to lower the cost of insurance for Americans is going to require stepping in and telling these insurance companies that they can't make more money. When people say, like, Obamacare raised the price of premiums, it did, but they were already raising. Like, it actually slowed the rate of how quickly they were raising until 2017. And here's what we have. In 2018 and 19, the marketplaces experienced considerable turmoil, resulting in huge premium swings. In 2017, the administration stopped directly reimbursing insurers for cost-sharing reductions. The ACA required marketplace insurers to reduce out-of-pocket costs for people with incomes below 250% of the federal poverty level, so insurers increased their premiums to cover the additional costs. There were also concerns about marketplace's stability and long-term viability, and these fears were reflected in the 2018 premiums. So Obamacare was introduced, 2009? We did not see drastic premium swings, like huge premium swings, until 2018, when who was president in 2018? And what happened in 2017? Did we gut the Affordable Care Act? Did we cut out some restrictions? Did we cut out some regulation? Oh, we did. And then they jumped. Imagine that through all of Obama's presidency, the insurance premiums rose by 2 to 3%, which was lower than the average 6% they were rising per year. And then Donald Trump comes in, and we had a 30% increase on average in 2018. So for everybody that's complaining about your health insurance costs and still pointing at Obamacare, the reason that your health insurance premiums went up is because Trump gutted it. Republicans gutted it. That's what happened. They were rising at a regular rate, 30% in 1 year after the Republicans gutted it. Do you think that's just like it just happened? Oh, they were unrelated. We gut it, and then the premiums go up 30%. Sure you did.
That's why you have to, God, if only MAGA could just understand what was going on. Deregulation is raising your insurance premiums, right? Like you hear MAGA say, oh, Trump wants to deregulate, it's going to be great. No, it's not. It's going to be great for corporations. It's going to be great for privatized profit that none of us will ever see, right? It will be great for the gross domestic product, not for us, not for our health, not for our health care.
Let's look at the marketplace again in 2021. According to Urban Institute, the national average benchmark premium fell in 2021. Remarkable because it contrasts with premium increases in the employer-sponsored insurance market over the same period. We had a between 2 and 4% increase in 2022. So now, as these protections have been put back in place by the Biden administration, we are again seeing the stabilization of the premiums for healthcare. Now, I hate the healthcare industry. I think it should go away altogether. But we can see that the drastic increases of healthcare prices took place under the Trump administration. During Obama and now during Biden, they've been relatively stable. So what's Trump going to do?
Isn't that the craziest thing?
What's he going to do? Like, what could Trump possibly do? What plan could he possibly roll out to lower premiums without spending government money, without subsidizing it? If he's going to lower premiums, he's going to have to subsidize. He's going to have to spend a bunch of money on healthcare. And do you guys think that that's going to fly with Republicans? It's why he's not saying it. It's why he's just saying, like, since 2015, we'll now be at 9 years, almost 10 years of him saying that I'm going to fix it, and he's not going to fix it.
And the reason he wants to fix it in the first place, right? The reason this is even a thing he's talking about is because he's being lobbied by corporations, right? By insurance companies. And that's what happened, like what Jay is talking about in 2017. He was lobbied and deregulated something. That's what Trump is doing. Trump, please understand that Donald Trump, the reason he will be allowed to be president, if Trump is allowed to be president again, it's because he is going to deregulate things for corporations. It will never benefit us. When he's talking about the healthcare system being broken, he's talking about, oh, this is protecting us too much, right? And there's not enough privatized profit. Think about the healthcare industry. Why are corporations profiting off whether or not we live or die? That is a terrifying capitalistic industry.
And just so we can, just to further explain what Trump did when he was deregulating, there was a mandate to carry insurance under the Affordable Care Act, right? And getting rid of that mandate and allowing other places for people to put their money, whether it be in cost sharing or whether it be in just like self-funding and not carrying insurance, that meant that the pool of people that were being insured were an unhealthier pool. It allowed healthier, younger people to leave the pool, stop paying into it. So now you've got a pool full of like statistically more unhealthy people, which causes your premiums to rise. That health insurance only works at a like is only cost effective if everybody is paying in and you have the healthy people who aren't using it also paying, so that those that are using it, the unhealthy people, have lower premiums. And this is the Republican argument all the time, is like, well, I don't want to pay for stuff that I'm not going to use. That's fine. Like, I understand that, but then we shouldn't have health insurance, because now you're just going to cost share between people who can't afford it and are unhealthy, and you exacerbate the problem, which is exactly what we've seen. You just make the problem worse and worse and worse and worse.
Preach. Okay, so that's his healthcare post on Christmas, which is annoying. Um, I guess we could just point out too. He was pointing out just out 538 polling average as of December 23rd. Trump 62.4%, DeSanctimonious 11.7%, Bird Brain 10.8%. So now we're calling Nikki Haley Bird
Yeah.
Brain.
Well, because somebody watched it, he first wrote that bitch, and then they're like, no, you got to be a little. He's like, oh yeah, I got to pretend I don't hate women. So let's go bird brain. Let's just pretend that women have smaller brain. Let's do that.
Yeah, and he says there is no Haley surge except against Ron or DeSantis bounce. What does that mean? The bounce? I don't even get that. I read that like 5 times and couldn't figure out what he's talking about. Fake news is all you get. It's because people are saying, right, and the Coke pack is backing, not Coca-Cola, the Koch brother pack is backing Haley, and there's rumble, they're doing a huge PR push, huge money on advertising, and Trump's feeling it. So he's just clarifying, like, Nikki Haley is not coming for me.
Wait, but 62% is lower than he was. He was up above 70%.
Yes,
He's
it's
absolutely
undeniable.
like, he's posting his L's on purpose. You can go back and find him and be like, so I'm winning 75-80% of the vote, and now it's at 62. Like, what are you talking about? There's no change. That's a huge change. You're down to 62%. And it's been steadily dropping. And it's true that there's not like a massive surge from Nikki Haley, but I think Nikki Haley was at like 2 or 3%, and now she's at 10 or 11%. If you look on Twitter and you look at the most prominent Republicans, they're mostly now backing Haley. Jenna Ellis has hitched her wagon to Ron DeSantis. God knows why. I wanted to talk about that.
She only knows how to prop up the patriarchy. Jenna Ellis is she's a pick-me. She can't prop up a woman. It's fundamental. It's just so strange to her. She's like, literally, you look at Ron, the most incompetent man to be president, cannot control his own facial muscles. And we still have men and women on the far right saying, oh, still this incompetent man over Nikki Haley. Still.
I want to read, I put this on here. It's a tweet from Ann Coulter, but this encapsulates why you guys can't beat Trump. Why DeSantis and Haley can't beat Trump is because in order to beat Trump, you have to be honest. But in order to keep your audience, you can't be honest. So here's Ann Coulter, who obviously very non-Trumpy. But she said, I can't unstupid myself. She said stupid. I think she meant unstupid. I can't unstupid myself enough to understand why being the victim of legal persecution is supposed to make someone a great candidate for president. That line right there is why you guys can't beat Donald Trump. I can't unstupid myself enough to understand why being the victim of legal persecution is supposed to make someone a great... This is not legal persecution. This is not persecution. This is the legal process. Please draw a diagram from these Trump indictments are outrageous to let's make him our nominee. She's saying, sure, the indictments are outrageous, but we should look at him and say, oh, well, these outrageous, unfair accusations are just part of it, so we better vote for DeSantis. They can't even make an argument against Trump because they can't say that he's lying. They are completely beholden to a lie that they all know. We read the Fox News articles. We know Tucker's lying about it. We know Hannity's lying about it. We know Ann Coulter is lying about it. They all know the election wasn't stolen. They all know that these charges against Trump are strong. That they have evidence. That Ann Coulter's not a dummy, but she knows that she can't do that. So how are you going to beat Trump? Republicans, if your only argument against him is that he's under indictment and the indictments are unfair and it shows that the Democrats are corrupt, so we need to put up somebody else who is weaker, right? Somebody who the Democrats aren't threatened by? Is that the argument? This is why you can't beat Trump. This is why if anybody that's a Republican that's frustrated with Trump still winning in the polls, this is why. Because you guys won't, all of your commentators won't be honest about what's actually happening.
Yeah, that's so Maguni, you're saying she's saying that that doesn't make a good reason to choose him the way I hear that. Yes, that is what she's saying. But what Jay's saying is that is what she's saying, but she's saying that because she can't even say the truth. That like, hey, this man's not being persecuted. This guy committed some crimes and now he's being tried for them, and then we'll see if he's guilty or innocent, right? But nobody can say that. Like we saw it, I think I have it I put it in the outline somewhere. Where's my little thing I put in here about Lindsey Graham? Because Lindsey Graham annoys me so much. Senator Flip Flop, yeah. So Lindsey Graham is on a tour now because Lindsey Graham accidentally, occasionally these politicians accidentally say the truth, which he accidentally went on the media, on Fox and said, oh yeah, there's no evidence to impeach Joe Biden as of yet. And once you say that, then you have to go on your press tour of penance, right? And say a bunch of other lies in service of Donald Trump because you accidentally said the truth. So this is now Lindsey Graham's post on Christmas Eve. There were numerous legal and factual concerns about the 2020 presidential election. As the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, along with many others, I expressed concerns and investigated different allegations. The president has the right and duty, just like others involved in the process, to challenge the results. While I voted to certify the 2020 election, there were problems. No, there weren't, Lindsey, but do you see what I'm saying? There were not. There were investigations done, audits done.
Well, it's more so. It's a little bit more dishonest than that. What Lindsey Graham does very well is he's able to say things that are true, but he leaves out the context of why things are true in order to make it seem more impactful. Were there problems with the 2020 election? Of course there were. Did we have some problems with ballots in Arizona? Yeah. Did we have some problems with I think a flood or power outages? Yeah. Were there some people who harvested ballots in states where you're not allowed to harvest ballots? Yeah. Were there fake sets of electors? Yeah. There's problems in every election. You can literally say that about every election that ever existed. And this is what Lindsey Graham does. This is how he walks that tightrope. He says, I voted for to certify the election because obviously we knew who the winner was. But then he gets to be like, oh, were there problems? Yeah, there were problems. But if you don't mention what those problems are and how minute those problems are and how inconsequential those problems are, that's where you're getting the lie of Lindsey Graham. And that's what all of these people are doing. That's every one of these candidates on stage when they're asked about the 2020 election. They all say the same way. Not one of them besides Chris Christie, and maybe not even Chris Christie, has the balls to be like, yeah, it was the most safe and secure election of our lifetime, and Donald Trump got absolutely walloped. He got killed. None of them say that. They all say, yeah, well, Biden's the president, but there sure are some problems, because they're all cowards.
Yeah, due to human error and how many human error is so high, our elections are becoming safer because we are bringing in technology. And what we know from what we went over with that Democracy Docket article is the combination of technology and hand counts is the way to use checks and balances to make our elections as safe as literally possible. And so we know that, but just what you're saying, it's disingenuous to say anything other than that because of how it's being used in the media and what people believe. This election was safe, but because Lindsey Graham accidentally said, oh yeah, there's no evidence to impeach Joe Biden, now he's got to go back and go on his media apology tour and rehash all these things, which Lindsey Graham has said in the press. Oh yeah, the election wasn't stolen. You know what I mean? He said that too.
Just to add context, because I want to play this video every single time we can, here's also Lindsey Graham talking about Joe Biden.
admire Joe Biden as a person, then it's probably you got a problem. You need to do some self-evaluation, because what's not to like? Here's what I can tell you, that life can change just like that. Don't take it for granted. Don't take relationships for granted. I called him after Bo died, and he basically said, well, Bo was my soul. We've talked for a long time. He came to my ceremony and said some of the most incredibly heartfelt things that anybody could ever say to me. And he's the nicest person I think I've ever met in politics.
Is that right?
He is as good a man as God ever created. And we don't agree on much. But I think he's been dealt a really gut blow. I think he focuses on what he's got to do, not what he lost. His heart's been ripped out, but he's going to make sure that the other members of his family is well taken care of. And he started talking about his grandkids. More worried about them than anything. We just talked about the future.
Yeah.
He started talking about the future of his family.
Just a reminder, as Lindsey Graham is like holding back tears, his admiration and like his kind words of Joe Biden so clear. That's honest. Like, that's who Joe Biden was before he ran against Donald Trump. Is he a gaffe machine? Yeah. Has he said like a bunch? But he always was. For 40 years, 50 years in politics, Joe Biden has said dumb shit. Has he lied a little bit? Has he lied about like his resume? Yeah, absolutely. Has he said some racist things? Absolutely. Like, he's done a lot of things that are fair to criticize him for. But the people like Lindsey Graham, who worked with him daily and were on the opposite side, they were political opponents. Like, they said Joe Biden, his words are, Joe Biden there is as good a man as God ever created. That's like, that kind of stuff is powerful. And this is the person that now we're supposed to believe was like this long-term scumbag, this guy who was selling out our country, this guy who like was using politics to enrich himself, even though he's for some reason stayed in politics for 50 years and his net worth is relatively low. He really didn't have money at all until, like, I think Joe Biden, didn't he take the train to work until he was vice president? He didn't have money.
He's one of, yeah, in terms of profiting off politics, yeah, he's definitely on the lower end
F.
of
His
it.
rating is F.
For
He
sure.
sucked at it. He sucked at it.
Yeah.
The only time he ever made a substantial amount of money was his memoirs, which is a prepaid amount of money. They're like, hey, we're going to give you $8 million for this book. And he's like, okay, great, I'll write the book. I don't even think the book did that well. Because what's Joe Biden's story? Like, Joe Biden's story isn't like, it's not inspiring. He was just like a guy, and he came from, I think, like a middle class household. He was like a okay senator, and he stayed there for a long time, and he never really did anything that impactful outside of the crime bill and then becoming vice president. It's not like he's this big inspiration of like, I made it, like I started at the bottom and now I'm here. No, he's just like every one of us, but it turns out he's a really good guy. That's who Joe Biden is. And now
who
now
can
because of
also
Trump-
admit he's made mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Like, nobody is perfect. And if you listen to, I can't remember which think tank it was, but I was listening to like a left-wing think tank, the guy in charge of it talk about when they were discussing like who should be the candidate in 2020 against Donald Trump. They were looking for a guy who wasn't involved in corruption, right? They were looking for the antithesis of Donald Trump, and they came upon Joe Biden, a middle-of-the-road guy who was not engaged in corruption or in politics for political gain. That's who he was. They were looking for who's the opposite of this guy, who can restore like the public's confidence in the role of the president. And they chose Joe Biden. That's why it's taking all of the Republican House GOP clown show to investigate him and find a crime. They literally can't find any crime. If any one of us was investigated, it would not be going this way, right? Like, you could find a crime that someone's committed if you retroactively go leaf through someone's life. Like, right? There's a reason they can't find anything.
We have more information on Joe Biden's finances than any president ever, right? Not only do we have his tax returns, but we also have the SARS reports from his son. We have transactions made to and from his son and his brother, just loan repayments. We have all of we literally know everything about Joe Biden's finances and still can't find a crime on him. And to show you the dichotomy here, you can then look at the Republicans, who obviously like don't give a shit about criminality because Donald Trump, right? throw out everything he's indicted for right now and throw out everything pre 2015. He was a criminal. Like the amount of times he had lost lawsuits, the amount of times he had stiffed people and been caught, the amount of times he committed fraud and had been caught. He can't operate a charity in the state of New York because he's using that as a slush fund. Like, the guy who has actually done real crimes, we don't care about. But then look at the debate stage. Look at who's still standing. Look at Chris Christie. Chris Christie had some questionable ethics when he was the governor of New Jersey. Look at Vivek, an actual pump and dump scam artist. Look at Ron DeSantis. Look at how he has abused funds in the state of Florida. And then I guess Nikki Haley, what I don't know. I don't really know any corruption her. What they keep accusing her of.
She wants to ban TikTok. That's a crime.
She's working for China, but also wants to ban TikTok, which doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, Nikki Haley's probably the cleanest person, but you guys don't care about corruption. You don't give a flying fuck about corruption. You care about winning elections and smearing people, which is like, this is why I don't think that Trump is going to win, and this is why I don't put that much stock in the polls. Because political people are going to be on Joe Biden or Donald Trump. There are plenty of people on the left who think Donald Trump is 100% guilty of things that he's not even accused of. That's fair. And there are people on the right who think Joe Biden is guilty of these things he's been accused of and more. But the general public, the ones that aren't on Twitter arguing this, that aren't, coming to our show, that don't spend 3.5 hours a day talking about this, like, you can see which party is more corrupt. It's painfully obvious to any observer that isn't partisan. Everybody knows that Donald Trump is corrupt. It just depends on, like, do they care? And if you are a conservative, if you are a capitalist, you probably don't care. And if you're not a conservative and you're not a diehard capitalist, you probably care. And I think that's what the election weirdly is ultimately going to boil down to, is which one of these two do you think is more of a criminal? I don't think that, like, the issues are going to be a huge part outside of abortion. It's going to be like, who's the bigger criminal and abortion.
Exactly. I mean, can you believe that's literally what it's come to? And any Republican who wants to come up here and just explain, because that is the argument, right? The whole reason the Biden crime family, just as someone, the background in marketing and PR was created, was to offset the Donald Trump's own crimes. So to even make the claim, oh, Joe Biden's a criminal, you would have to also be holding up the claim that Donald Trump shouldn't be president, right? Because you're literally sitting up saying, oh, Joe Biden, let's get him out of here, he's a criminal, so we can put this other criminal in office. Like, make sense.
And I want to talk more about this. So the Twitter thing, because it's all the same. It's always the same argument. This is, again, that Gunther, whatever, Gunther Eagleman. It's the same thing. Like, I want $1.50 gas, no inflation, and jobs. It's like, first of all, we all do. $1.50 gas would be great. No inflation would be great. That would also mean that, like, the last time we had $1.50 gas and no inflation, we were literally all locked down in our homes. Just to be clear, like, if you want to go back to Donald Trump numbers of $1, and I don't think it was $1.50 gas, I think it was like $1.80. But if you want to go back to those numbers and zero inflation, you're going to need to be locked down. We're going to have to lock down the entire country. But what is he advocating for? What are the policy prescriptions? And this is the part I don't get with Republicans. Like, do you think that Donald Trump just doesn't want to tell us how he's going to get this done? Is that what... You hear that?
No.
Lighting off fireworks, like...
No, but
like
yeah.
Firework
Welcome to Arizona. That's like my neighborhood.
What the hell is that? Yeah,
my neighborhood don't bother with fireworks. They're just into firing guns into the air.
So show me the policies that you're going to get cheaper gas. Show me the only way to get lower gas to $1.50. The only thing I could even possibly think of to get to $1.50 gas is nationalize oil. How else could we do it?
Oh my gosh, don't even get me started on this, people. Because, and this is the thing where they're like, he came down the escalator, and you hear this from MAGA all the time. No other, all other politicians are just liars. Nothing they said that makes sense because MAGA doesn't understand actual policy. So whatever Donald Trump says, they take it at face value. Never mind the fact he has no plan and what he's saying out loud is not possible. We are drilling more than we've ever drilled right now under your favorite president, Joe Biden, right? You're not going to return to lower gas prices than there are now unless we nationalized oil and took on unless we severely started regulating. Let's not even talk about nationalizing it, but regulating it, right? Talking about limiting the privatized profit.
But you would have
I'm
to
just saying, at
nationalize.
least you would have to come at oil and gas, right? You'd have to come at the industry itself.
Right. No, see, this is what I was thinking about. I'm like, okay, well, if you... Fuck, there goes my light. If you drill, baby, drill. This light is struggling. I got a new phone case and it's struggling. If you drill, baby, drill, that's your thing, right? You still... Gas prices are worldwide. You're still dealing with OPEC.
Well, that's what I'm saying. OPEC.
Yeah.
We'd have to come at the entire industry, the global supply chain.
Yeah, so the only way is to eliminate OPEC, which means you have to nationalize oil. So is that what he's going to do? Is he going to nationalize oil and just set it at $1.50 and we're going to operate that at no profit? I'm game, first of all. Terrific.
Trump is a capitalist.
Yeah.
His friends are capitalists. He is a Nepo baby, right? You are trying to elect a man born into capitalistic privilege, right? to do something that he will never do. The only people he's ever deregulating things are for corporations, are for billionaires. He's giving tax breaks in perpetuity forever, not to the middle class. Not to us. He set up some tax breaks for you guys so that or for us, so that they would do the math, right when his second term was ending, right? 2025. That's when the tax cuts for the middle class end, so that whoever was going to run again, it would look bad for. But guess his friends, his rich friends, get their tax cuts go on forever and a day.
Right. And because they knew this, right? If you cut taxes for 8 straight years, if you cut it on the wealthy and the middle class for 8 straight years, you are going to have massive debt, predicted by Mitt Romney, by the way, because he did say that. He said Donald Trump will cut taxes without addressing any entitlement spending, which was stupid. There's a lot of other spending we could go over, but he said he's not going to address spending, so he's going to increase spending and cut taxes. And so what you would have seen at the end of the Trump presidency, folks, is a worse version of what we see right now. Things would be worse if Trump was still president, by the way, because he would have just deregulated all this shit. And he wouldn't have touched anybody's taxes except for the rich people. But at the end of this, you would see that we would have massive spiraling out of control debt. And Donald Trump and whoever the Republican was, would be running on, while people are hurting and the middle class is struggling and the poor people are struggling. Imagine trying to run on raising taxes while people can't pay for basic stuff. Right? They knew that. They knew the outcome of what would happen if they increased the spending and cut taxes. They knew that's how this would play out. There's no way that they would set up a scenario where things would be going so well and people would be making so much money that going into after 8 years they'd be running on increased taxes. There's no way. It wasn't ever going to happen. I don't know if Trump knew that because he's remarkably stupid. But the people around
Dorset sheep, facts are Democrats support war. Come up here. You've said a lot of things in the chat. Come up here and talk to us about it. You think the Democrats support war and Republicans don't? Capitalism supports war.
I mean, and
right?
this is...
Where are we going to get our raw materials, our resources we need? Right? We're not getting them from this country.
More proof that all you guys care, like your entire platform is grievances. That's the entire platform. You can't come up and tell me what you're going to do. You're going to point to 2 wars. But there's no fucking argument. There's not an argument, by the way. There's nothing outside of hypothetical arguments that these wars would not have happened under Donald Trump. These are completely hypothetical. Like, these things likely would have happened under Trump too, but even if they didn't, please explain to me how they wouldn't, outside of, they listened to Donald Trump. Well, they didn't listen to Donald Trump because Russia was in Ukraine while Donald Trump was president. Donald Trump didn't back him off. Donald Trump, and in fact, there was some aggression from Russia during the Trump presidency from Crimea. There was aggression. There were threats all throughout the presidency. There always were threats, and they were already there. The only reason Putin wound up having to invade is because the UN stood up to him. The UN, once Trump left and they got Trump out of the way, the UN stood up to him. So is your argument that the UN saying no to dictators, like, no, you can't do certain things, no, you can't come fill our country with your oil, no, we're not going to give you access to ports through our country, no, we're not going to allow you to build barges that go into our country. Like, you're saying that what we had to do was capitulate to Putin over and over and over again to avoid a war. That's what you're saying. This this strongman argument is bullshit. He was a pussy, and that's why they liked him. That's why they didn't invade, because they got to do they got to do the shit that they wanted to do because Donald Trump was a pussy. That's all this was. And you guys you misidentify that. You think that he was strong, and that's why they didn't. No, they were getting what they wanted. And now they're afraid that they won't get what they wanted, so they need access to the ocean, so they have to take over Ukraine. That's all that happened. People said enough is enough, Putin. And you guys are like, we got to put Trump back in there to be a pussy some more. That'll help.
Literally. And that's what that was one of Adam Kinzinger's arguments in that op-ed where he's talking about Trump smelling, is literally the point of, like, if you guys don't know, there's these QAnon conferences that General Michael Flynn runs. They're called, like, the Great Awakening, alongside who? Eric Trump. And part of Eric Trump's whining at these conferences and his story is, my daddy was so strong that all the authoritarian leaders were scared of him. My daddy scared Kim Jong-un. And the point is, no, they didn't. What he was he was someone that was easily controlled. Of course Putin likes Trump. Of course Kim Jong-un likes Trump. He's fat. He's an unintelligent. He has no concept of foreign policy, no concept of economics. They're playing him like a literal fiddle. They love him. Of course they want him to be president. If you look at that, there's a great Guardian article about a KGB agent that defected, and it is his testimony that Trump was being developed as an asset since the 80s for Russia. He's a KGB asset. Why? Of course. Russia wants their asset to be president of the United States.
Right. And look at what was happening in 2019, 2020. Like, if you want to know why Russia invaded Ukraine, there's a couple of reasons. But one of the main reasons is Zelensky. And Zelensky said, like, when he campaigned on, I'm going to work with Moscow. I'm going to work. Like, obviously they're there. They're in Crimea. They've annexed Crimea. Like, they're there. They don't see us as a state, but I'm going to try and work with Moscow. And so Moscow came to a brand new president and tried to strong arm him because they don't believe that Ukraine should even be a state. They believe they should still own Ukraine. And Zelensky basically was like, I'm not going to give you guys free access to our country, free access to our ports. I'm not going to allow you guys to infiltrate our government, to infiltrate our people, and create an uprising, because that's what they did in Crimea. 100% what they did in Crimea. They sow discord, and they make the people in Crimea feel like they'd be better off if they were with Russia. They promise them all these things, and suddenly you have a bunch of people in Crimea who are like, it wouldn't be so bad to be with Russia. Zelensky recognized that. He recognized that the important part of their sovereignty was to not allow Russia to be involved in their country, like to not just have free reign through their country. That's when Putin got mad. Putin got mad because he thought he could run over Zelensky, and Zelensky wouldn't be run over. That's all we're seeing here. Putin is used to being able to run over people. Zelensky didn't allow it.
And when he can't, what happens? A little poison. Allegedly. Speaking of which, I put this in our outline because I don't think people understand, like, Putin's long history of disappearing his opposition, right? Putin has no opposition because they disappear. I don't know if anyone knows this. Putin's biggest opposition has been for years a man named Alex Navalny, who disappeared 20 days ago, and everyone feared that he had been unalived by Putin, and he showed up. He's in the Arctic, right? He's like in a gulag in the Arctic.
I don't know this story. How did I miss this? Alex who?
Oh yeah, Alex Navalny disappeared like 20 days ago. Navalny, Navalny, like naval NY.
I'm starting to, I've got to be more careful. I think I'm starting to be educated like MAGA because my Twitter
Yeah,
has so much MAGA. Like I spend
yeah,
so much time
get no
debunking their
real
shit that
news.
you like miss real news. Yeah, this is a great. I can't believe I would miss this. That's
Yeah,
real
he's
news.
been missing Alex Navalny, Putin's biggest opposition, and who would be in charge of Russia if the people had a say, right? So no one could find him. It's been this huge thing. They thought like Putin finally offed him, and he's popped up in the Arctic in a prison, and these are his messages. Alexei Navalny, I'm your new Santa Claus. This is what he posted on X. It's in 9 parts. Yesterday, or excuse me, today at 1:04 a.m. Well, now I have a sheepskin coat, a fur, and a Yushenka, which is a fur hat with ear covering flaps. And soon I will get Valenki, a traditional Russian winter footwear. I have grown a beard for 20 days of my transportation because he disappeared 20 days. No one knew where he was. Unfortunately, there are no reindeer, but there are huge and fluffy and very beautiful sheepdogs. And the most important thing, I now live above the Arctic Circle in the village of Karp on the Yamal. The nearest town has the beautiful name of, I don't even know what the name is. I don't say ho ho ho, but I do say oh 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 when I look out the window where I can see a night, then the evening, and then the night again. Yeah, there's no light where he is essentially. The 20 days of my transportation were pretty exhausting,
Hold
but
on,
I'm still
real
in
quick.
a good mood.
Stop real quick there. Do you know how far away this prison was from Moscow? 20 days. Do you know how far away it
Yeah.
is? Do you know how many miles?
How many miles?
If this is correct, let me make sure. This is from CNN. 150 miles.
Yeah, they were just driving him around in a circle. Like no one knew he disappeared
20
for 20
days of travel to go 150.
But that's what they're saying is like Putin maybe didn't know what he was going to do with them.
So
He
yeah.
disappeared
Wow.
and has been carted around, and nobody. So they thought like this is the time because he disappears. Like when Putin gets mad because the opposition in Russia is like rising up and saying, especially during this war, Russians don't have a choice whether or not to be at war. And so when like the opposition rises up, Putin gets angry and disappears Alexei Navalny.
Sorry, I misread it. I misread it. The penal colony he was in before he disappeared was 150 miles east of Moscow. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, sorry.
And
Bad
there's like
information.
it's called the Trans-Siberian
This is
Railway,
two-
and I think
this is
I don't know if
2,000
that's how they
miles.
transported him or not, but the Trans-Siberian Railway is, there's a long history of that, and it takes a long time. But
This
yeah,
is 2,000
allegedly,
miles from Moscow, so that makes more sense.
there you go.
I apologize for
But
the
still, 20
misinformation.
days on train to get 2,000 miles, that doesn't make sense anyway. None of it makes sense, right? Like, it doesn't necessarily make sense.
Somebody just said they have a Trans-Siberian they have a great orchestra. That's true. If he spent 20 days listening to the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, though, that was a good 20 days. Do you know who that is?
They brought me here on Saturday night, and I was transported with such precaution and on a strange route, he says. So he knew he took a stranger. Oh, he lists the route. Moscow to Chelyabinsk to Ekaterinburg to Kirov to Vorkuta to Karp. I didn't expect anyone to find me here before mid-January, right? Like, because they have lawyers. They're using every, like, amnesty law, international law to try to locate him because they thought he was going to be disappeared forever. And he's like, that's why I was very surprised when the cell door was opened yesterday with the words, "A lawyer is here to see you." He told me that you had lost me and some of you were even worried. Thanks very much for your support. I can't entertain you with the stories about polar exotics yet because I haven't seen anything outside of the camera. And outside the camera window, I can only see the fence, which is very close. I also went for a walk. The yard is a neighboring cell, a bit bigger, with snow on the ground. And I saw a convoy, not like in central Russia, but like in the movies, with machine guns, warm mittens, and felt boots, and with the same beautiful fluffy shepherd dogs. Anyways, don't worry about me. I'm totally fine. I'm totally relieved that I finally made it. Thanks again for your support and happy holidays. So yeah, like that
Wait,
is the opposition.
You're going to
if
skip
you
the
don't.
last one?
Oh, sorry. Since I'm Santa Claus, you're probably wondering about the presents, but I'm a special regime Santa Claus, so only those who have behaved very badly get presents. Wink. I'm a huge Alexei Navalny fan. If you don't know who he is, follow him on X or Twitter or whatever, and definitely look into this. He is the chosen leader of the people of Russia.
Yeah, it's very scary to see somebody in Russia just put these tweets out like this. Obviously, scary like he's already in jail. We should already be scared. But the thing about Russia is that like they don't really care about
Oh yeah,
optics.
he was poisoned. I'm sorry. You guys in the poison. Yes, there are documentaries. He survived poisonings. Like he's not. If you don't know, Putin's already tried to get him. Like
Yeah.
he's survived the
That will
poisonings.
never end. And there will come a point if he puts out too much information or if he causes too much that Putin will just eliminate him and just lie. Like it could be the most obvious thing that Putin eliminated him, but he'll do it and he'll lie. Does this repeatedly. And this by the way, this is the guy Putin who now Republicans aren't really sure if he's such a bad guy. I don't really sure.
And you're saying Trump's
Zelensky-
being persecuted. So imagine this.
Yeah.
You're saying Trump is Alexei Navalny. No, Trump is having due process for the crimes he committed. This, Putin, the guy you guys are now propping up and saying isn't such a bad guy, this is what he's doing to his political opposition. He's in an Arctic prison. He never committed a crime. He didn't try to overthrow a government. He just wanted to be a democratic candidate to lead Russia.
Yeah, heaven forbid. So, all right, we can leave Russia now.
But yeah, it's okay if Trump says it's okay, right? It's okay. Everything going on in Russia is fine because Trump told you guys that.
Do you want to go to, this was the one that I hadn't caught up, number 10. This was my favorite thing that you put up today. And this is my favorite thing that Midas Touch has put out in a while.
Okay, yeah, you go ahead, go for it.
So Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett was doing
God.
a press junket, apparently, like he's on a press tour. Do you
If
want to
guys
explain
don't
it?
know, he's
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm just saying Tim Burchett is in the Freedom Caucus and one of the most wild, the
Okay,
most,
so-
the most
so
out
he-
of control Freedom Caucus members.
Yeah, he's talking about like his life in politics. He says, "I've been in this game my whole life. I've spent 16 years in the state legislature in Tennessee, 8 years as county mayor, and now I'm in my 5th year in Congress. The stakes are higher in Congress, but the game is still the same." Now he's going to tell you what the game is. You know the old honeypot. The Russians do that, and I'm sure members of Congress have been caught up. Now a honeypot, I don't know if he explains that, but basically a honeypot is it's the kind of compromise that the P tapes are. Right? Russians want to get you caught up in something specifically. Like if you are a Christian conservative and you happen to be closeted, they are going to try and get evidence. Like they're going to send like a hot dude up to you, take his shirt off, walk up to, let's just pick, I'm not making any accusations, but let's just say Lindsey Graham. And you're going to bring up, and let's say you heard that Lindsey Graham likes buff Russian shirtless men. So you're going to put Lindsey Graham in a scenario where he's got a buff shirtless man there, and then when an important vote comes up, you're gonna then use that evidence. But he said, you know the old honeypot. The Russians do that, and I'm sure members of Congress have been caught up. Why in the world would good conservatives vote for crazy stuff like what we've been seeing? Here's how it works. You're visiting, you're out of the country or out of town, or you're in a motel or at a bar in DC, and whatever you're into, women, men, whatever. He can't say like transgender, by the way. Did you notice that? Women, men, whatever. Like he can't even force himself to say the word transgender. Comes up and they're very attractive and they're laughing at your jokes and you're buying them a drink. Next thing you know, you're in the motel room with them naked, and next thing you know, you're about to make a key vote, and what happens? Some well-dressed person comes up, whispers in your ear, "Hey man, there's tapes out on you. Were you in a motel room on whatever with whoever?" And you're like, "Uh-oh," and they say, "You really ought not to be voting for this thing." And what do they do? It's human nature. But wait, there's more. No man or woman is an island, and they know what to get at. If it's women, drugs, booze, it will find you in D.C. and in most elected offices. And that's what people in power and influence do. Now, Tim Burchett is stupid. And Tim Burchett does not understand the irony of what he is talking about. When you ask yourself, this is a conspiracy theory, we're not making any accusations here. when you ask yourself, according to Tim's logic, why so many people would possibly vote to overturn an election or vote not to validate the electors. When you see people consistently going after Joe Biden without evidence, when you hear people defend Donald Trump, and you're like, why? Like, with all this evidence against them, and they're in Congress and they have access to more evidence than we do, and they're in there, like, they're admitting that they don't have evidence. Why do they hold on to this? This would be a good conspiracy theory as to why maybe your favorite Republicans keep doing whatever Donald Trump says. It's long been we've long been suspicious that there are certain key players, and again, just picking on the board, Lindsey Graham. Why Lindsey Graham might have went from the guy praising Joe Biden in 2015 to the guy that is kissing Trump's ass all over the country. I wonder why his opinions might have changed so much. You guys can look that up. I would look up Lindsey Graham. Just maybe Google what hashtags have trended with Lindsey Graham. Maybe just look that up. But again, we're not making any accusations, are we, Felice?
Oh, not me, never. Let me I'm gonna try to find the clip really quick of, let me see where it is there's a clip of this. Have you seen on the Benny show or whatever of
Benny Johnson?
Benny Johnson.
Yeah.
Like actually talking about this.
I think Benny Johnson shoots his show with like an iPhone 6. I don't know how he gets the worst quality. Like, Benny Johnson gets a lot of viewers. It would seem at some point he could get a good camera, but he can't. Yeah, I have the clip right here. Do you want me to play it?
Yeah. Well, do you want to play it? I found it.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Or wait, you play it because it's not. I didn't.
It's the one in the
I thought
article, right? That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a second. Turn off the mute.
Oh yeah, that is.
Portfolios, and they love their money more than they do anything else, and they protect it, and they protect the people that do that. And by doing so, the old honeypot, the Russians do that, and I'm sure members of Congress have been caught up. Why in the world would good conservatives vote for crazy stuff like what we've been seeing out of Congress? It's how it works. You're visiting, you're out of the country, you're out of town, or you're in a motel.
That's just the quote that I just read is all. It's the same quote I just read.
Yeah. So he's basically saying honeypot, like blackmail. He's saying the only reason that people go along with or go against Trump basically is sexual blackmail.
And look, if you are a conservative,
that's Tim Burchard's assertion.
If you're a conservative, like, that's
Trump
worse.
Committed a crime.
You get caught doing financial crimes, no big deal. You get caught raising a bunch of money for a wall that didn't exist, and then you dip it into the pockets, no big deal. You get caught like embezzling from a charity, no big deal. But like we know from our favorite Moms for Liberty, if you get caught in a sex scandal, you're done. By the way, did you see the video of that kid at the school board meeting talking to the Moms of Liberty person? It was unreal. If you guys haven't seen it, he's like, the first time we not. Yeah, he said, like, the first time we spoke was you saying I shouldn't exist. I don't know if he was trans. I don't know the story behind it. But he basically says, like, now there's all these stories about you having a threesome. And he's like, I just want you to know that you should not lose your job for this. You should lose your job because you're fucking terrible at it. You're awful at your job. That's why you should be losing your job right now, not because of what you decided to do in your bedroom. And I thought it was a really cool way for them to show, like, hey, look, we shouldn't care about what people do in their bedroom, but we should care when people are terrible at their job. But Republicans care a lot about what you do in the bedroom. They care a lot. It's like their most important thing. I think they probably get together in meetings and just go, I wonder what this person is doing in their bedroom. We must find out.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. It does not make any sense. Dennis, if you do want to get in the box, everyone's telling you to get in the box. We would love to talk to you. Thank you for the crown. Flower crowns are my favorite.
It's hard. Dennis, we'll be nice. I get it. It's hard to step up. It's a lot easier in the comments. It's easier in the comments when you're limited on characters. People can't really fact check you. I get it. It's easier down there. But Dennis, have you ever thought to yourself, maybe I should challenge my beliefs? Maybe I should see if my beliefs hold up to scrutiny. Maybe I should see if there's any backing for my beliefs. And if there are, we'll gladly accept that backing and we'll change our beliefs and we'll follow you from now on, Dennis. You will be the new leader.
I just can't even. Yeah, it's interesting with Trump. Also, this whole push he's had all Christmas, like Christmas Eve on Christmas, about the push of, God's going to help me win the election. A man who is not religious, knows nothing about religion, is literally using like the evangelical vote to elect himself president. And these people can't figure that out. With his help, by this time next year, we will be well on our way to making America safer, stronger, and greater, and more prosperous than ever before. May 2024 be the best year of our lives. Like, make it
wait,
stop.
wait. Does he not know when he would take office?
No,
does he not know
confused.
that in 2024 he won't be president? Like no matter what, does he not?
No, he doesn't understand that. He's not getting it.
I mean, yeah, let's make 2024 the greatest year of our lives, and let's have the last year of the Biden's first term be the best one yet. I agree with him.
Trump said that. Who said that? Trump said that. Trump said that on Christmas Eve, I believe.
He thinks it's right around the corner. Did he think the election happened already? Did he miss that?
He doesn't. That's the thing, and they don't care. But if Biden had said that, it'd be like, he's senile. This is crazy. Trump doesn't know what year it is. He doesn't know who's president. He makes these mistakes all the time. But when he's doing it, it's fine. That's the problem with the logic of Joe Biden is too old to be president. If you're not going to notice that Donald Trump also has no idea where he is or what's going on in the world, like, it doesn't make any sense.
Did we cover the Joe Rogan? We did, right? We covered Joe Rogan being fact-checked live on air about the Joe Biden quote. Did we do that?
Yes,
I know
yes,
it's been
we
every.
did.
Okay, I just couldn't remember if we covered it or not.
Yes, we did on Friday. Yeah.
Let me give you another Ann Coulter because I had put this up there again.
I love Ann Coulter.
It's just more of Ann Coulter like not being able to tell the whole truth because of her base. This light is insane today. I'm gonna quit on that. Ann Coulter said, "Did any of you warriors for Trump ever make a peep about other miscarriages of justice? No. What was done to Kyle Rittenhouse was a million times worse than anything being done. He was exonerated. What are you talking? What was the Can somebody explain the miscarriage of justice to Kyle Rittenhouse?
Just
he
a
unalived
white
some
man
people,
almost being in trouble for unaliving someone is
got away
injustice.
with it, and is now making money off of it. What is she talking about there? Where was the miscarriage of justice for Kyle Rittenhouse? Again,
No one's sure.
Everything about Republicans is just like we're the victims. Even in a scenario where you unalive when you unalive people and then you don't get charged for unaliving people, you become a victim. Do you think Republicans believe that if you unalive somebody, there should never be a trial or an investigation? Do you think that's what they think? There should always be an investigation. Always. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't matter how clear. I've seen enough murder or unaliving documentaries to know that what it looks like on the surface isn't always the case. There should always be an investigation. And the person who did the unaliving should always be the first suspect. And you should dig into their story and you should decide whether or not what they did was illegal. And the way that you decide that is by going to court and having a prosecution and a defense. I would call that a carriage of justice, not a miscarriage of justice. I don't get. I do get it. It's such a shitty thing to be a Republican and not be a Trump supporter. That's got to be so infuriating. just the process of writing out a tweet and having to be so careful about how you frame things so that people don't accidentally think that you're telling the truth about some conspiracy theory that they believe. Again, like there's no this opposition part or this opposition group of the Republican Party that's opposed to Trump. It's the weakest fucking opposition. This is the Globetrotters and whoever they used to just knock the fuck out of every day. This is them. This is just, you're gonna lose. You have no shot until you start telling the truth. No shot. But it would take all of them to do it at the same time. Because if just one person does it at a time, they just lose all credibility and they get removed forever.
Yeah, it's anyone who speaks out against Trump. Oh, now they're suddenly a liar. A person we valued their opinion in the Republican Party and was fine for years and years. If you ever speak out and say the truth for a second, we got to cancel that person. No one can speak the truth. Did you see this article I posted about, or put in the outline about the 92-year-old man who called the C-SPAN and said he meant Trump's father? And he was a fan.
I saw the
Schmittler.
headline. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So that C-SPAN show, the Washington Journal call-in, segment, which one of my favorite ones ever was Andy Biggs did it, once, and people called in to Andy Biggs. It just went at him like on C-SPAN. But yeah, during C-SPAN's Washington Journal call-in segment, who a man named Pete, who identified himself as a 92-year-old from West Palm Beach, said Trump's father, Fred Trump, visited his village and was a fan of Hitler and dictators. Pete implied Trump got his views of dictators from his father. Have I not said that? Said psychologically, like I took an FBI profiling class and he is an authoritarian apologist because his father was an authoritarian apologist. Like this is exactly, if you do like an FBI profile of Donald Trump, like this story is what you would literally expect to find. Listen to, this is the quote. I'm a 92-year-old man, and I remember when Trump's father was in our village and talked to me personally. He was really a fan of Schmittler. He just said that dictatorship is not as bad as people think. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Dictatorship is not as bad as people think. He said one man rule is better than having too many people trying to bring their opinion up. And that was the same thing his son did. He believes that dictatorship is the best thing for this country. And sooner or later, you're going to wake up and believe. When he becomes president, he'll become a dictator. So America beware, and I'll say goodbye to America. This is what a 92-year-old man called into C-SPAN to say.
And on its face, by that self, like that story by itself, had you not had all this other context from Donald Trump, would seem like it would seem a little crazy. But when you read about Donald Trump's father, and Donald Trump repeatedly for like decades would talk about the racehorse. Do you know about the racehorse theory that he always talks about?
No, tell me.
He kind of let it go, but the racehorse theory is basically like the way to breed the best racehorse is by genetics, right? You get like the fastest mother and the fastest father, and you
epigenetics,
yeah. But the problem with that theory is we're not just trying to get the fastest horse. Like the horse being the fastest doesn't mean the horse is the smartest, doesn't mean the horse is the most powerful, doesn't mean that horse itself would be great as like a pet if you're going to ride the horse. It may not be great for long rides. It may not be responsive. It only shows that it's fast. But he has said, let me see if I can find some of these. Here's a quote from Trump in Minnesota at a speech. You have good genes. You know that, right? You have good genes. A lot of it is about the genes, isn't it? Don't you believe? The racehorse theory. You think we're so different? You have good genes in Minnesota. What's he talking about there? Then we can go to, then you talk about his quote recently about poisoning the blood of America.
I was going to say, that's exactly what he's talking about. Eugenics.
Here's another comment from him about the racehorse theory in 2007 with Larry King. You can absolutely be taught things. Absolutely. By the way, as I read these, just notice how coherent Trump used to be. I think it's 2007. And keep telling me. Like that first...
Guys, tap the screen. Let's get to 200K.
That first one, like it was chaos. That first sentence was chaos. You have good genes. You know that, right? You have good genes. A lot of it is about genes, isn't it? Don't you believe? The racehorse theory. You think we're so different? You have good genes in Minnesota. That sentence is chaos. That doesn't make any sense. But 2007, here's where he was a little more coherent about it. You can absolutely be taught things. Absolutely. You can get a lot better. But there is something, the racehorse theory. There is something to the genes. And I mean, when I say something, I mean a lot. 3 years later, he told CNN he was a gene believer, explaining that when you connect two racehorses, you usually end up with a fast horse, and likening his gene pool to that of successful thoroughbreds. His gene pool was like successful thoroughbreds. You can't, like, Donald Trump believes this. He believes that he is genetically superior, and he believes like his genetics are superior, and he believes in genetic superiority. And then you're gonna tell me that like this stuff on the southern border, his Muslim ban, the poisoning the blood, that stuff has nothing to do with genetics, has nothing to do with racism. Okay, sure it doesn't.
Yeah, children. Yeah, Trump's father and Trump were sued for racial discrimination in housing, and Fred was once arrested at a Ku Klux Klan rally for failing to disperse. The 1927 article reporting the arrest doesn't make it clear Fred Trump's status or association with the Klan. However, a flyer for the rally indicated the Klan was protesting alleged unfair treatment from Catholic police officers toward Protestants, and Fred Trump was a Protestant. Yeah. So, yeah, there. I mean, like.
But again,
we know what it is.
It's being in a cult all over again. It does not matter the context. It doesn't matter how many quotes we could bring up that show you that Donald Trump believes this, that Donald Trump believes in genetic superiority. It would not matter. What you're going to, because you've already decided that he's not racist, and that your fears of the southern border and your fears about immigration and your fears about Muslim are not phobic. They're not phobic. It's not phobic. You're definitely not the problem. Your internal racism, your internal maybe Islamophobia, your Latin phobia, whatever it happens to be, that couldn't possibly be what's happening inside of you. It has to be that that's the truth. And the truth just happens to look racist, which is what every fucking racist has ever said. I'm not being racist. It's just true. Like when you do stuff like this, it reminds me of the IQ argument, right? Like for years, decades, racists would use the IQ differences between white and black people to say that like, oh, white people are genetically more superior, without ever recognizing that IQ is basically like your accumulation of knowledge and your ability to regurgitate that. And when you didn't educate black communities for decades, centuries, and then once public education was available to them, it was a very poor public education. And then you take a test, of course those tests would be lower, but that was used by white supremacists in this country and is still used by white supremacists like Charlie Kirk, like Matt Walsh, like Nick Fuentes, like Tim Pool cites these types of studies. These are all the type of things that Republicans just think are true, and they don't realize it's just them being racist. They really don't think they're racist. They really think that it's just true and they're telling the truth, and that the truth is, yeah, like white people are better.
Yeah, it's hard for me to believe that that's what's going. I mean, I think there's two groups, right? There's the white nationalist groups who are like, oh, thank God someone's just spewing our ideology finally. And then there's the Republicans who are feeling scarcity in the economy and thinking, oh, no, yeehaw, thank you for the hat. So are saying like, oh, there's too many people coming here and literally adopting racist views like the replacement theory, not understanding that's where it's come from because you're afraid of scarcity. And because what have you been taught in Western civilization other than if you're going to exclude somebody, let it be brown people, right? Like that's what Western civilization has been built on, is white supremacy and patriarchy. So you don't understand that it is racism because the system has been constructed on these ideals.
Did you see this story went around? It largely unreported because sometimes Reddit stories don't get reported, but Rogan, I don't know what the date is here. I was trying to find the date of his tweet. I don't have it. Joe Rogan posted his IQ score was 127, and he tweeted out and said, "I legitimately thought I was dumber." Oh, January 31st, 2019, and this was from Brain Metrics Initiative. It was a website where you could take an online IQ test, and it turns out as Reddit researched this, they kept going to all these influencers and all these people that were posting their IQ and like 90% of them got 127, the exact same score. And they realize like, oh, these aren't real IQ tests. These are just influencers being like, they do the IQ test and then the IQ test just sends them back with a high score. So like, oh, that's why I made it. I got 127. And then they say like, post your score. And then some of them had links to BMI, but mostly it was just an advertising scheme to get people to post their score really high and be like, oh, I'm smarter than I thought I was.
I mean, none of this makes any sense. It's also like, if you think about like what you were saying about Trump's theory about his genes being superior, and then you have like all these stories coming out about Trump's like toe pads. Have you seen this? Like when Trump's filming, have you seen them? When
I love
Trump's
this
filming
so much.
his Agenda 47 videos, which are his, like, because people can't read Project 2025 because it's 1,000 pages, right? Trump makes these videos of him screaming fascist things he's going to do, right? So his followers can listen and watch him. And while he's filming these videos, he literally has these like toe pad things that on the ends of his toes are like propped up so it will make him lean backwards.
So what those are
This
is
is his genes.
Those are weights to hold down lights. I found somebody did a deep dive and they showed somebody that does lighting. They're weights that are made to hold down lights. That's what he's standing on. So at some point, and there's a whole bunch of theories of why they think he's doing this. What theories have you heard?
Yeah. Users were, So, you know how Trump leans forward? Like, people have suggested that could be because of bone spurs in his feet, like the reason he dodged the draft. But, like, there is, oh my God, I was watching, have you seen these suggestions? Or there's the other one about he has 3-inch lifts in his heels. So that's why he's leaning forward so far. So, to counterbalance the lifts, they put this thing, they have to have a little thing at the front to keep him from, like, in the videos, leaning into the camera. But
yeah, so he does, if you look at the picture of Donald Trump standing, he does this weird thing where he locks out his knees, like almost like hyperextends
for
them.
public speaking, what's worse than locking out?
He locks out his, and then he leans forward. Now, some people have said like that is a symptom of, I can't remember, something that like some type of dementia, but like,
no,
it's
I'll
like,
tell you, because it's crazy.
Is it in there?
PSP form of frontotemporal dementia, stiffness and awkwardness in gait, poor judgment, loss of empathy, socially inappropriate behavior, lack of inhibition, repetitive compulsive behavior, inability to concentrate or plan, frequent abrupt mood changes, speech difficulties, problems with balance or movement, memory loss. And when you look at like in the definition of frontotemporal dementia, and how it literally is defined by how someone stands, and it's that exact like lean of Trump. That's why they're saying this.
And if you, again, we're not doctors, we're not making a claim here, but if you go back and you read the stories of the people who have worked with him, and they describe what it's like working for him, where he could only, if you were going to give him a briefing, it had to be on one page, it had to be in catchphrases, you had to have pictures, it had to be catchy. His mood swings, nobody could ever tell what was going to happen with his mood swings. You would see his Twitter rage, like on Christmas. He impulse controlled, none, zero, zip, just starts tweeting. When they've given him gag orders, he can't help it. He goes out. He has no ability to control his impulses. Everything they just listed as signs of this would point to Donald Trump. All the signs of this point to Donald Trump. I compared the quote from 2019 when he's talking about genetics to 2007, where in 2007 he can explain it, and in 2023 he can just say, racehorse theory, good genes, Minnesota. Like that holds weight. But the other one that holds weight is that he's so old. He's so old now, and he's overweight, and he has 3-inch heels, which means you're up on your toes all the time. The only way to counteract that, if you're losing your balance, would be to be back on your heels and get your toes up. I have plantar fasciitis. Part of plantar fasciitis, like I'll wind up leaning forward too much, and I'm constantly having to go back on my heels and adjust like my gait. So that would make sense to me, that he would need those. Otherwise, what's the other reason those would be there? What possible reason could you have to have your toes lifted up? I guess maybe plantar fasciitis. I don't know.
Yeah. And when you hear about like frontotemporal dementia, like your frontal lobe, that's literally what they're talking about. It's the frontal lobe is what is controlled impulse control. That's why children under 18 are like can't be tried as adults because their frontal lobes aren't developed. And so they have no impulse control. So that is essentially like deterioration of your impulse control, which
It's
makes a
also
lot of sense.
it's also a symptom of ADHD, which is why I have poor impulse control too.
Same
Hopefully,
here.
I don't have that. Hopefully, I don't have
Same
dementia.
here.
Yeah. By the
We
way,
all do.
I wanted to ask you how your did you wind up going and getting gifts for the unhoused?
Yeah, well, I told you what I was gonna do. Yeah,
I know you
I
didn't.
went
Did you
and
do it?
yeah,
How was it?
it was good. I went and got a bunch of pre-rolls and edibles from the dispensary on Christmas Eve, and I took them to some of my unhoused friends that live near my house under an underpass and in a park.
And there was at that park. I was reading. This is unrelated. Well, we didn't talk about this, but I was reading the police reports, and at that park there was 50 different sightings of Santa Claus. So whatever you
me.
gave those folks was powerful because they were seeing Santa. A little bit
They
later.
had a great Christmas. Nobody should be unhoused, not feeling good on Christmas. It's my
It re-
version of charity.
It's honestly, it's a beautiful thing, honestly, because if you're sad on Christmas, like you can go, you can take meals, that's gonna help. Great, take meals, take a coat, but you can make somebody happy for a couple hours. That's tough to do. So it's a really, really great gift. I think. I
And
applaud it.
nobody's giving it, right? Everyone, you can go get a coat.
It's true.
Can
It's
you
unique. What are the
Exactly.
chances of you going to your next story while I go pee?
Yeah, that you can definitely go pee.
Thank you.
And I'll just continue on with a dispensary, a local dispensary I know here. Well, there's actually 3 or 4 of them in Arizona, and I used to do some marketing stuff for the owner, so I get like a little bit of a discount there, and then I like to help the unhoused feel better during Christmas. But we can move on to this. I'm going to put that post that I was talking about, the frontal temporal dementia thing, in the Discord, because I just need you guys to see the actual lean forward of like what this is about, because I just never have seen a more fitting I posted it, so just so you guys know what we're talking about, and then I will move on from this because there's so many things I want to talk about. Oh, I know what I want to talk about. So this goes into what we were talking about Trump talking about his genes and how they're far superior or whatever else. And I was looking at this post of Charlie Kirk. Gosh, you're a fast PR. I barely got to say anything. And Charlie Kirk is talking about Charlie Kirk gets very upset about because, he's very anti-immigrant. Charlie Kirk wants the borders closed immediately. And Charlie Kirk gets very upset when people present the idea that, Jesus was an immigrant. So this is so messed up. Listen to Charlie Kirk's argument about why he's so tired about people who dare say Jesus was an immigrant.
Just so everyone's clear, Jesus was not a refugee, okay? He went from within the Roman Empire to the Roman Empire, okay? Egypt was part of the Roman Empire, right?
Correct. 100%
I just want to make
correct.
sure we're very technically correct here. It drives me nuts when people say
Thanks
that.
for clarifying that. I appreciate it. Yeah.
When I saw that advertisement of he's gets us or whatever, and they said Jesus was a refugee too, it's like why we need to have open borders and all this. I cringed. It's biblically illiterate, and it's using left-wing talking points and appropriating them. But
It's biblically illiterate. Okay, the Roman Empire, all the Roman Empire did was create refugees, right? It basically displaced many, many people, and it was about leveraging indigenous populations for gold, right? So there were many refugees from the Roman Empire. In fact, if you resisted at all, you became a refugee.
I think he's saying that, like, I think he thinks that a refugee only is a refugee once you enter another country and apply, like, say,
No,
I'm
but
a
let me
refugee.
Yeah,
But
no,
like
I understand, but
clearly
this is what
there's
he's saying. He's saying the British Empire. Let's just compare, because like the modern equivalent to the Roman Empire would be the British Empire. That's like saying if a British colony, right? Like Jamaica used to be a colony of Britain. If you fled Jamaica to another British colony, right, that you wouldn't be a refugee because the same overlords are in charge of both places. What the? That doesn't make any sense.
yeah. And
Like, if the same scary, terrifying overlords are in charge of two different colonies and you flee from one to the other, you still are a refugee just because the same horrible people are controlling both places. It doesn't mean you're not a refugee.
could you go back when he said it was biblically inaccurate? Was he talking about borders? Is that what he's saying? Can you go
He's
back to
talking
that
about
part?
at the time when Jesus fled to Egypt, that the Roman Empire was still in charge of Egypt. They had conquered Egypt at that time.
Okay, but
Which
when
would be
he said
Upper
something
Egypt,
was
not Lower Egypt.
biblically inaccurate at the end, I think he was saying like having
He's saying Jesus was a refugee. He's just saying Jesus left one place controlled by the Roman Empire and fled
here,
to
let me ask
another
the question.
place
Can you
controlled
play
by the
the
Roman
last
Empire.
20 seconds? Because
Yeah.
I think there was something else there. Maybe I missed it. Just play it. Then
G2. It's like why we need to have open borders and all this. I cringed. It's biblically illiterate and it's using left wing talking points and appropriating them. But just so everyone's
it's
clear,
not.
Jesus
See,
was
that's
not
the
a refugee.
that's what I was asking. It was that part.
Yeah.
To say having open borders is biblically illiterate. What the fuck are you talking about? What did Moses do? Was Moses just like he was just wandering around inside the borders of the city? Is that what Moses was doing? Like the Bible is full of people leaving the borders. The Bible is full of people entering the borders. The Bible is very open borders. It's an open world video game. It's what the
You
Bible
cannot
is
make
so...
the yeah, it's the worst illusion or biblical illusion of all time. Like, what are you talking about, Charlie Kirk? You have no idea.
Right. When Adam and Eve were cast from the garden, where were the borders of where they were allowed to go? They'd go anywhere, right? Anywhere they wanted to. And then it became villages, and then you could go from village to village. The Bible is very open border. So that's why that was the part I was like, he's stupid. I don't know what Charlie Kirk has never said anything about Christianity that makes me believe he knows anything about Christianity. I think what Charlie Kirk identifies as Judeo-Christian values is just white nationalism. Because I've never heard him do a good job explaining Christian ideas, Christianity, the scriptures. I've never once heard him say something that made me think, okay, he has read the Bible a few times, or he does understand what was happening in the Bible. I think he's a Christian in the same way that Trump is a Christian, except for he adheres more to his white nationalism, and he just thinks that white nationalism and Christianity are the same thing.
But that's the point. Jesus was not even white. So he's making the object, like, to compare now to what he's comparing to, which is he wants to close American borders, specifically the southern border, because of brown immigrants. Well, that's like saying Jesus shouldn't have been led into Egypt. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's the same argument when Jesus was a baby and he was fleeing to Egypt. That's like if Egypt was like, don't let him in. The borders are closed.
Thanks, Hezi, for this one in the Discord. But here is Matthew. This is in Matthew 2, explaining like exactly that Jesus was a refugee. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. It literally say like, yeah, you guys, you're in Judah, but you're not rulers. Eventually, you will have rulers. Yeah. You have no representation. You are refugees, but eventually, through Jesus, you will have a ruler. Thank you, Hezi. Perfect.
And if Jesus, and think about just the equating. Like if this was today, Jesus was a brown baby, and he was, and they were fleeing because they wanted to keep him alive, just like people who are at the southern border with brown babies. So
Yeah.
shouldn't we let them in? Like what?
Let me
Make
just
it make
change.
sense.
Let me just change some locations here and see if this further on. When they had gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. "Get up," he said. "Take the child and his mother and escape to America. Stay there until I tell you, for Venezuela." What's the president of Venezuela's name? Maduro. So let me
Nicholas.
stay there until I tell you, for Maduro is going to search for the child to unalive him. So he got up, took the child and his mother during the night, and left for America, where he stayed until the unaliving of Maduro. And so was fulfilled what the Lord had said through the prophet, "Out of America I called my son." And then again, Jesus returned. So this would be refugees coming to America, and then when things are good in Venezuela, going back to Venezuela. Yeah, this is literally open borders. Matthew 2.
So we better let the
MVP of
brown
the day.
babies in. Like, Charlie, thank you for proving all of our points. Let the
you.
brown babies in. They might be Jesus. They might be Jesus Cristo. We must let the brown babies in. It's like they can't follow their own line of logic because it doesn't make any sense.
Right. So, and this
Should we
is
help the
something
brown
that
babies or not?
this is where Charlie Kirk, why I don't think he's like an actual Christian or a believer in it, is because what he just said is dumb, and he just repeated something that someone else told him. This is MAGA in general. They just say things that they think are true because they've heard other people that they think are smart say something similar. So they just repeat that like it's true. But then you go in biblically and it turns out none of that's true.
It's the strangest thing that we have to deal with. The strangest thing.
All right. Well, what do we want to do? We want to bring up some. We want to do.
We want to tap the screen.
We haven't done
Sorry.
Ask Me Anything in a long time. We could do that.
Yeah. This week we can do some more friendly people in coming up. I agree. Let's do that. Let's tap the screen. Let's get to 225K. We do want to talk to Republicans. We have a few questions for you. We just want you to make it make sense. We just want make the southern border make sense for us. Should we let
no
the
more
brown
David.
children in or not?
As he said, that's why they don't recognize their own savior, because they think he's woke Jesus. I like that. Hezzy was MVP today. Yolanda can't come up and ask about the top. They made me tell the carpet story again on Jones's live the other day.
You told the story. I still have never heard the story once.
I was careful about it because I was on my main account and I don't want to say the type of, and I was on Jones's live and I didn't want that to get in trouble, so I was a little more careful. But our fucking Discord, man.
I mean, it just involves you pleasuring yourself with a carpet, right? Is that what
You really don't know the story?
is? No, I mean, like, I understand what happens to Mormon people when they feel that they're not allowed to do something.
Okay. No, here's the short version. I was not educated on how the birds and the bees worked. I had a vague idea. I hadn't done anything that was even like close to sex. My girlfriend and I decided we were going to have sex. We were on the ground. I don't know why they say we were on the ground. She had shag carpeting. She's like, "Let's do it." I was like, "Cool, let's do it." 30-ish seconds later, I was like, "Oh no!" Like the guilt hit me. I was like, "Uh-oh!" Like I shouldn't have done that, but also, "Uh-oh, you're gonna be pregnant." And she's like, "I'm not gonna be pregnant." And I was like, "Yeah, you are." She's like, "Why would I be pregnant?" And I was like, "Because that's what happens after you have sex. You get pregnant." And she said, "We didn't have sex." And I was like, "What?" And I just missed, it was between the carpet and her cheeks.
Oh, Jesus.
And
God.
then she sat up and it was just up her entire back. And that was the first time I lost my virginity. So
To the carpet.
yeah.
I get it, though. That's what I thought. That's
okay.
when you alluded
The way
to
you
that
were
to
sounding,
me,
it
and
sounded like I found a roll of carpet and was like, "Hell yeah, let's do this." Like you
No,
made it
I
sound
thought
worse.
that's what I thought it was. Like
Okay.
your own somehow. That's like, that you're not if you had to understand how restrictive the Mormon religion is, but I went to university in Idaho and there are many stories. Like, that's why we talk about soaking. That's not that uncommon. If you guys are thinking that's a crazy story, that's just a day in the life of an
Yeah, it's not that
18-year-old
bad.
Mormon.
Yeah, I agree. Miss Julie.
Hi, Jay.
Hi.
Police. Guess what I did? I
What?
came out of the closet.
Congratulations.
Wait.
No, I know you already know I'm gay, but I came out of that closet, the one I was stuck in, under the books in the 6.5-foot pre-lit Douglas fir.
Yeah. Felice missed that part. She had left early. Miss Julie this last weekend was stuck in a closet underneath a pre-lit Christmas tree. It was a real issue. But how did you get out?
Well, I must have been in a fever dream, Jay. That's all I can think. I had been fighting and struggling and fighting and struggling. I was under all those books, and the Christmas tree was scratching me up, and I had managed to work one little hand free. And next thing you know, I was surrounded by pigeons. They were circling over, and it was frightening me because I didn't have my cane, so how was I going to fight them off like last time? But no, they seemed friendly and kind, and as some of them started pooping on me, another one dropped something in my mouth, and it made me sputter. But I was able to use my free hand to pull what I thought was going to be poo out of my mouth, but it was a piece of paper tucked inside a fortune cookie. And it told me, it said, rub the magic spot and it will set you free. And I lay there a long time thinking, what on earth? Pigeons? How did you bring me this mystical wisdom? And I didn't know how to interpret it. But then I thought, Jay, I rubbed my vaccine site, and I rubbed it and massaged it and tweaked it and poked it and pinched it and flicked it, and bam, if I didn't get unlimited 5G back to my cell phone. And boy, I called that bitch Sheila, because I knew they were on their way back from Florida and stopping at the kitty spa again.
Yeah.
After Miss Kitty Whispers running with the Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity down in Florida.
Yes, ma'am.
I called that bitch, that celestial heavenly being, that mental case from outer space. I called her and told her I was trapped. And you know what? She left the spa. She brought Miss Kitty Whispers. It's a Christmas miracle.
We're back. Miss Kitty Whispers is back.
I'm going to turn on my camera. I hope you're ready.
I'm ready.
Hold on. Let me make sure I can get this. I'm so excited. Let me see. My camera's having a hard time getting adjusted. Hey, Mom.
Oh, so cute.
Look at her. Isn't she precious?
Is that a skull leg? Is that...
It's Miss Kitty Whispers. The spa made her so fat and pretty. Oh, isn't she precious?
Skeleton leg.
Well,
oh, Miss Kitty.
Look, her eyes so
Christmas
sharp.
hat.
Who made that?
Miss Julie, she appears to have regrown some fur since she put on some weight since the last time we saw her.
Jay, she just needed a healthy meal.
Why is her eyes stitched shut?
And maybe a bath. But don't you think her little hat is just the festive touch?
Cute, and the bow tie is adorable.
It's a Christmas miracle.
It is a Christmas miracle.
Her tongue is just
hey,
So
Miss Julie, for the first time ever since we've talked, I need you to know something.
I love the snow globe.
It is right. It is right this time, Mrs. Julie. It is right.
It is right. All is right with the world and little Miss Kitty. Oh, say hello, Miss Kitty Whispers.
She looks happy and definitely like a real alive cat. She's very much real and alive.
Oh, she got so healthy and chunky. Oh, I suppose I'll get my glasses fixed one of these days so I can stare deep into her eyes.
I wouldn't, Miss Julie, if I were you. I maybe hold off on that. Save your money for some edibles. Save.
Yeah.
Let me see the leg again. Can I see the leg?
Don't bring up the leg. Don't bring up the leg.
See?
Yep, everything's fine.
pretty.
That's hilarious.
She's
Totally
so
normal.
soft and cuddly.
Anatomically correct cat.
So we're gonna go.
Okay,
We're
Miss
gonna
Julie.
spend some time together. It was the happiest of Christmases I ever could have had.
Hey, and do me a favor. Uh, close out of the stream right when you're done. Just don't listen for a couple of minutes. I have something I'm going to tell people that I just don't worry about it.
What is going on?
Jay, you're telling the wrong person to be secretive here. I'm a nosy bitch.
I know it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Okay, Jay, I can certainly do that. But thank you for letting me come up. And
I'm
yes,
so happy for you. I'm so
I'm
happy.
gonna rat Jay's trashy ass out. I sat in the box last week for well over an hour. Had to listen to guerrilla radio pontificate and bloviate for well over an hour, waiting for my turn to come in for my plea for help, Jay. You wouldn't answer. You wouldn't let me in. You ignored me. You ended the show. And I was left.
I love how we're focusing on Jay. I think it is.
I was left
I think that's
behind.
what's most important.
It was like a Tim LaHaye story.
It's all I've thought about.
Left
It's all I've thought about this entire. I can't believe I left you hanging like that. It breaks my heart. I love you, Miss Julie.
I love you too, Jay. Miss Felice,
Love you more.
thank you for sharing in the glorious homecoming of Miss Kitty Whispers.
I love that.
Now,
I love it. I want to.
I guess we'll be getting back to normal around here soon, because remember, probation assignments come up. I got my PragerU classwork to teach online, so
PragerU, letting us all know that women are just making too many essay claims. That's what I've learned from my daily PragerU talks, is that women are just too sensitive about essay and need to pipe down. It's just men showing us affection.
Really? Yeah.
those bastards. They're just not right.
They're not right. I'm so
Okay.
happy for you.
I
Thanks,
love
Miss
you
Julie.
all.
I love
Love
you.
you, everyone.
Bye.
Hope you have a glorious and Merry Christmas. And I will see you later on this week.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye.
Alrighty. Take care.
Bye.
That
can't
cat
get
really
out.
reminds me of something.
I got you.
It won't let me say.
I kind of like
I
it
got.
up
Oh,
here.
good. Sorry. Okay. So
That cat reminds me of something.
well, little context for you. This is why I was telling
Yeah.
her not to listen.
I need context.
Context for you and for anybody else. Originally, when she first had her first problem, when she was stuck to the refrigerator because of the COVID vaccine, she at one point she was telling us she couldn't feed Kitty Whispers, and she brought Kitty Whispers up on camera, and Kitty Whispers was entirely a skeleton, and so.
A cat skeleton?
Because Miss Julie can't see, she and again, she's not listening to this, so it's fine. But she doesn't know that Miss Kitty Whispers is no longer alive. So it appears what Miss Sheila may have done is what taxidermied Miss Kitty Whispers, but ran out of money on one leg. And so we're just going to tell her that leg's just a little skinnier and hairless is what we're going to say.
Let me tell you why I was like, let me see that leg. Like, I took, this may come as a shock to most men listening. I am actually a genius. I know. How can a woman's brain be so intelligent? I was in AP anatomy, and we had, like, in high school, we had to dissect cats, and we had to shave our own cat. We had, like, pair off in groups, and, like, yes, and we had to shave the cat and then, like, dissect it. And I was, like, very much like, I don't want to dissect a cat.
Wait, what? Where did you go to school? Who?
This is for the really intelligent kids, Jay. You were not in this class, so you don't need to worry about what the intelligent kids were up to.
I think it's possible.
In AP anatomy, you have to dissect a cat. And
I think it's possible that what you were, the type of school
yeah,
you
no,
were in
let
was
me
maybe
finish. You have
different.
no idea what happened. I learned a lot about myself from this. So, like, at first I was like, no, no, no. Like, I like cats. We should not dissect a cat. I don't want to do this. But then they were like, no, Felice, you're dissecting a cat or you're going to fail. And at this point, because I was so obsessed with being perfect, because I thought maybe one day my mom would love me if I was perfect, I was like, oh, fine. I guess I'm dissecting this cat. So I paired off with my friend Jordan, and that cat came, and I lost my mind. Like, I basically ended up the first day of dissection. I jump roped around the classroom with the cat's small intestine, and was then relegated to another room. I was put in another room because I'm such a sicko. And I was literally jump roping with the cat's small intestine. And then I used the bone cutters and cut off. That's why I was like, let me see that cat's leg. I cut off two of my cat's legs and put it in my partner's locker for him to find.
You're crazy. That's what that is.
Well, I didn't want to do it. And then they made me do it.
Well, but hold
and
on.
then I was like, fine, I'm doing it. Like,
fine, I'm going to turn it into a game? I'm going to turn it into a game? You looted Erica.
I don't know what
please.
happened. I lost control. I didn't want to do it. But then once I got started dissecting, I was like, okay, like now it's not as bad as I thought. So don't make me cut something up unless you want me to cut it up, is the lesson.
Felice, that's hilarious. Is my sound okay? Can you hear me?
Erica, it's
Sound
nice
lovely.
to meet you.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. I'm up in a box and not just like down there being crazy. Can you hear Home Alone in the next room with the kiddo? Or are we okay?
We're good.
Oh, I love Home Alone.
Yeah,
I should
right.
be in the next room.
It's so funny, Felice, that you're saying that about, first of all, it's really nerve-wracking. Y'all doing this as much as you do, like, props to you. Like, wow. But yeah, it's funny, we have so much.
We're dead inside, so we don't feel anything. That's how this works. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, so actually I have several questions for you. But first, it's really nice to officially meet y'all. And Felice, you and I have had a lot of similar backgrounds. And then it's funny as you're talking about the dissecting where I'm like, oh yeah, like there were cats, there were frogs. I remember the kid next to me, like he punched the frog.
Fetal pigs.
And it was, it had eggs, and so it like
He
went
punched
all,
the frog.
and it was like,
yeah, a lot of those frogs were pregnant.
And
it was gross. Ugh.
and then I did undergrad in biochem, so there was a lot of things in there. There was some more cats.
Biochem is so hard.
That's the first time that I got to hold a human brain, which was like fascinating. That was like, oh my gosh, yeah. And then that was
The first human dissection we had to attend. I still remember the way my clothes smelled. I'll never forget that smell. I'll never get it off me.
Yeah. And that was
you had to
before-
go to see a human dissected. Jay, you didn't make it that far in high school.
It was a lot. Yeah, and I'll just tell you some of my CVs since I know so much about y'all and you're learning about me, because that was before going to grad school for religious studies, before having to dismantle my graduate
There's some
school
real
for religious
geniuses
studies.
in the Discord.
So, but I do have a question for y'all. Do you think, oh, my thing is moving. Do y'all think that MAGA is a cult? Because I'm like realizing how many progressives will surprisingly not go there. Like, I just find that really interesting. I personally think that it is. I don't think that word should be like thrown around. I think that can be used to like Darvo and attack and things like that. But like, there's real definitions of cults, and varying definitions, obviously. But yeah, what do you?
I mean, look, my proof that MAGA is a cult is that I came from a cult, and the biggest reason people have exited my cult is because they joined like the MAGA one. It completely took over my cult. And like the biggest reason people left the Mormon church during COVID was because they believed that like the vaccine was a conspiracy, and the Mormon prophet, who was a heart surgeon, also was like, no, you should take the vaccine. And then everybody left. But nobody really cared that much when I got disfellowshipped and stopped going to church. Like, I would get looks, and I knew some people knew, and they said things behind my back. But when I left the Republican Party during MAGA time, that's when I got the hatred. That's when the people actually turned on me. Not only is it a cult, I think it's like one of the most powerful ones I've ever seen in my life. And it's not the Republican Party, it's MAGA. MAGA is 100% a cult.
I 100% agree with you, Jay, and very similar. I didn't grow up Mormon. I'm third generation Church of Christ, which theologically is closely
Okay.
related
There
to
you
Southern
go.
Baptist. But
Yeah.
they believe, like Church of Christ, there's like no instruments. And then I grew up in Colorado Springs, I shouldn't box my, but in Colorado, I don't live there anymore, but which is like the evangelical capital of the world,
Yeah.
right?
For
So
what
lots of
is it? Focus on
military.
the family or
Oh
crap?
yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's from
drove by Focus
Colorado
on the
Springs.
Family
Yeah.
twice a day to go to high school. The biggest evangelical church is like right there, and then it's actually surprisingly like huge Mormon. So my high school was,
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm
The
almost
Mormons are
40
in
now,
Colorado.
but yeah, it was like evangelical and Mormon. So I was told once I was good enough to be Mormon, Jay. Once. Then.
Yeah.
What's up with the harem for Jay hashtag? Is that
What
because
is that?
Erica's so pretty that people are saying that? Because
Oh, I don't date men.
yeah, Erica's part of my harem. Get it right.
Right?
Yeah,
Like
the hashtag's
throwing
been
crowns
going.
to police all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
that's
if you guys just want to talk.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Yeah. No. Turns out, Erica, your unwillingness to date men means you're not good enough to be Mormon. I just want to throw that out there.
Well,
Oh yeah.
You weren't.
Now
you
you're
weren't good
immediately
enough.
gross to all the
Yeah.
men.
I mean, that was 20 years ago. That was 20 years ago. Also, one other question, because I haven't seen anyone talk about this, and I wonder if it's come across your screen. I posted it in the Discord. There's a video of when the US is voting for the UN Security Council for aid for G. And it appears, so the UN ambassador is Linda Thomas Greenfield, right? And it appears that the director of national intelligence, which is Avril Haines, is sitting behind her. And it appears that she pushes her hand down during that vote. And I haven't seen anyone talk about that. So I just wanted to say, like, I'm kind of like, is this true?
Wait, say that again so I can look it up. Will you say
So
that again?
I can post it here. Let me see if I can put it. It's a video right up a little bit here.
In the Discord?
Yeah. Yeah, it says the U.S. Almost voted for the UN Security Council's humanitarian. Do you see it?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. Oh, for the
Let me pull it up.
ceasefire, you mean?
I haven't seen this.
Yeah, I have not seen anyone talk about it, Jay. And I don't know if it appears to be correct. And that appears to be Avril Haines, which would make sense. And I don't know, y'all know a lot more about this than I do.
I'm looking at the full video right now. Glenn Greenwald posted it.
Oh, Glenn Greenwald.
I'm trying to see, like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into this. I have no idea. That's wild. Let's see. Where's the United States in this? It's like it's going in a circle.
Yeah,
There we
and
go.
it's
Okay.
slow-mos.
Okay, so what I see is there is a woman in a green shirt, and I don't know if she put.
That's
yeah,
Avril
she
Haines.
definitely like.
That's
The ambassador
Avril
has her
Haines.
hand raised, and she definitely taps
Yes.
it. But then they smile at each other, so it looks like it was a mistake to me. Because then she turns back and smiles. I don't know. That's interesting. I'll have to look more into that. I have no idea.
I don't know, but that's Director of National Intelligence. That's Avril Haines. I've kind of searched around, and like obviously because of her position, there's not like a whole lot of public talks with her. Like she talks some for the like UFO stuff or whatever they call it. But it was just really interesting to me. And then obviously that the UN ambassador is Linda Thomas Greenfield. So
Yeah, I'm gonna look more into that. I hadn't heard that at all, but that's interesting.
yeah, let me know if I'm wrong. Call me out.
Okay. Thanks, Erica.
Yeah,
It was nice to finally meet you.
it's nice to meet y'all too. Call me
It's
out
so
on the
nice
weird
to meet
cult
you,
one.
Erica.
So,
See ya.
see you later. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, can you kick me out?
I got you. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have no idea how to.
I don't know. Oh yeah, because I still think you
I
have
like
access.
Erica a lot.
Shocker.
What?
Do you like her better than you like me?
No, but you know when you talk to somebody and then you don't know, like when you meet them and you see them in person, it's just like, oh, like just you get a clearer picture of who someone is. I like her. I'm always impressed by people in our Discord. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
there's very intelligent, very competent, very interesting people in our Discord. I like it.
I do think that's an important thing to remember is that, like, especially when you talk about personalities, rarely is the person speaking most publicly the smartest person on the topic, and I think that that's the case with us as well. Like a lot of times, the people who are speaking the most aren't the smartest people on the topic, and that's why it's important to one hear from others, but also like question your sources. I'm constantly reminded that I am far from the smartest person in our Discord. In fact, I'm probably like bottom third. I just don't feel anything, so I'm willing to sit in front of a camera and say shit. But yeah. But that's it. We're at one.
Don't feel anything.
Yeah. Any last words?
No, I don't. But I'm going. What was I going? There was something I wanted to look up, and now I can't remember. And I was going to ask you. Like I said, I was going to look up and take screen. Oh yeah, of 2020. Okay, of like what Trump was saying in 2020. Never mind. I remember now for tomorrow. But I'm gonna look up. I'm gonna try to come up with this week more things of like this is what was being said by Trump in 2020 during this time, or last year during this time, because I think it's pretty funny.
Look for that on our YouTube. There's the plug. Felice will have that up there. Felice's content that you can find here on TikTok is also found on YouTube and Instagram. I'm gonna get my shit together as soon as the holidays are. My daughter's birthday is tomorrow, so it, like Christmas and then her birthday is a lot. So after that, I'll have some time at night to make some content. But I appreciate you guys showing up today. And Felice, thank you for putting together that wonderful outline. Miss Julie, I'm thrilled that you have Miss Kitty Whispers back, and she's definitely alive and definitely real and definitely
It might be the cat I dissected. Kitty Whispers may or may not be the cat that I dissected in high school. We are not sure. It's not confirmed. It looks very similar.
Yeah. We will be back tomorrow, same time, 8:30 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time. Please, again, if you're not following us on YouTube, make sure to find us there. The replay of every live will be posted there within a few hours, as well as some clips from the show. We appreciate all of the support, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye.
See you guys tomorrow. Bye.